Real quick, Steak, I see you're in the queue. Hold on a second. I kind of have to take a piss. I'm just noticing something. This is fascinating right now. No countdown. Hold on one second. This is fascinating. I am seeing this. I am seeing this in the chat. You see the little Twitter icon? This is beautiful. So now I guess it may have synced to the chat section. Hey, if you're watching in Twitter, can you comment something? I just want to do a little test. Because it usually, when you stream, it separates, like it syncs to Twitter, so the video plays to Twitter. But if you've ever, I know, Hovey, I actually don't know if I'm starting. I kind of have to pee. Maybe I'll just go and then we'll piss later. Chargers +3 was a bad beat. Hold on. Have to raid the snacks one last time before you leave. What snacks? Snacks in the office? Yeah, look at this. I see all these fucking people joined on Twitter. That's great. So that's cool. But can anybody comment? DGen, is this the worst NFL product in the last 25 years? It might be pretty close. Yeah. All-time bad quarterback play, all-time bad coaching. It's really, really bad. You're the only one who sees that. Okay, got it. So you guys don't see it in Twitch, which is fine. That's fine. You don't need to see it. But I see it now, which is cool because typically I'd have to pull up Twitter and you could see, like if I hold my phone like this, I can see how many people are watching. It says 15, but now I see they're in here. I'm just wondering if the Twitter people can comment, because if they can, that would be very cool. That would be very cool, but I guess not. Yeah, maybe an update for Twitch. I love it. I'm happy to see it. We had a packed house in the cooking stream last night. There was like 30 people on Twitter at one point watching the Chicken Parm Heroes. All right, I gotta piss. I'm gonna run to pee. We'll let the lobby fill up a little bit. Steak, are you cool to hang out for just 2 minutes? Okay, and then we'll come back. We'll talk a little college football. We'll wait for Greg. Season's greetings. What's up? What's up? All right. If you want to hang tight, cool. If you want to come back, just give me a few minutes. I got to take a piss. I'm going to put the wait music on one more time. There we go. And What's up? Good morning, Steak. Good morning. How are we? I thought you were muted for a second. Good morning, everybody. All right, yeah, we got a nice little crowd in here. We started early. It's 10:45. Is Greg coming in the office? I don't know. We can take some side wagers. Last day, I think he's supposed to help me move out if that is at all possible. Steak, when you had your child, and I think Greg's kid is now 1 month old. Were you able to leave and do anything?
Work. I'd say the only real valid excuse I had was work, but if it wasn't work, I wasn't leaving.
Okay, yeah, that sounds about right. He's definitely making it seem like I know that it's a teamwork or it's a team thing there to take care of a fresh newborn child and all eyes, all hands on deck. But Greg, I'm not giving him any shit or any pressure, but if he were to come in today and help me move out of the office, it would be fantastic. So I just want to know if there's any leeway realistically with a 5-week-old child or maybe 4-week-old child. Should I expect this to happen or no?
I'd say no is like minus 500.
Oh my God. Okay.
Being honest.
No. I want honesty. I didn't know where I had it. I had no at like maybe minus 200. I thought there was more of like a 50-50 chance. That's very funny. I'll be in and let chalk it, brother. Greg changing diapers right now. I mean, he probably is. All right. Good morning. I wanted to just touch on some of the comments here. Let's see. Furl, you guys are just talking to each other. Season's greetings, blah, 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 blah. There was something about Easton Stick that somebody commented that I wanted to touch on. So, just to recap a little bit of last night, it was a dog shit performance. I guess is Brandon Staley fired yet or no?
I just can't believe it. He's got to have some crazy blackmail, man. That's the
only thing
explanation.
That's the only thing I can honestly think of is like why. I get it. It's like some people are some coaches, not coaches, some organizations are like, oh, we're not going to fire in season. They're really hung up on that role. And then it's like, what are we going to do? What value does it bring? I think you kind of have to set some sort of like standard or message that like, yeah, this dog shit performance is unacceptable. Steak, what's the best steak? I think his answer is going to disappoint you.
It is going to disappoint. I don't even know if I want to say it.
Yeah, that's all right. You could take a rain check on that.
Rare to medium rare filet mignon. Now you can blame me in the comments.
Steak is a filet mignon guy, and I've given him shit about that for years. But honestly, I will say this: I've had some really good pieces of filet mignon, but it is kind of funny, like the stereotype of the masculinity when it comes to ordering a steak. Like filet mignon is always known as like the female order, which is kind of funny. But I will say, I've had a few bites of filet mignon, and I'm like, ooh. That's quite nice. Remember when we were at my bachelor party and we went to what the fuck was that? Strip House in Vegas, and I got the ribeye, and you and one other person got the filet, and I think I had a bite of the filet, and I was like, man, I wish I got that. So
it was fire. It was fire.
No filet mignon slander. I fucking love that answer. That's funny. Matches the White Claw narrative. That's pretty funny.
It does.
I think their GM is terrified to replace Staley from within and have them be immediately better. He's hired 4 coaches. It's time to move on. Chargers owner is useless. They're chalk forever. Interesting. Ribeye is elite. Yep, I'm a big ribeye guy. Filet mignon, yes, we can move on. Jack Ulver. Oh, wow, this is cool. Steak, in the comments, do you see the Twitter users that joined? Oh, okay, yes. Cool. Yeah, I didn't know if it was just me. That's a nice little new feature. Fat Girls with a sub bang. Root Bells with a follow. Oh, Hazen was last night. All right, we can start talking a little bit about college football. And we put two picks in our newsletter for the bowl games that are coming up until next Friday, till we can do another round. Did Greg say he would help you? No, he did not. He did not. He just said he would try to come in, and then I threw in, if you did come in, you could help me move out of the office, and that would be sweet. Read the newsletters this morning. W's. Somebody, one of our followers, Justin, was nice enough to inform me on the recap. This is hilarious, by the way. He sent me, FYI, the bottom 2 in our recap here. I didn't separate college football from NFL. He said, FYI, the bottom 2 are not NFL. So, Justin, if you're watching, I just want to say thank you very much for letting me know that App State and Cal are in not in the NFL. There's nothing I can fucking do about it now. But I'm pretty sure everybody can figure it out. Nothing wrong with a good sirloin for a cheaper option. Yeah, that's true. I don't mind a sirloin either. All right, so let's talk college before Greg gets on or gets in, whatever he decides to do. So I feel like you had some better reads on this. I was really excited. I've always liked betting on bowl games. And I know I like to hash it out with you. I think we've usually, for the most part, like we do okay betting bowls. And at the same time, it's like we take our lumps and have our bad, embarrassing bets. Everybody's going to do that. But I mean, if there's 40 to 45 bowl games, I'll usually bet on almost half of them. Like I don't mind firing off and holding back. And honestly, looking at my Action Network last year, I did really well in the bowl games. That's where I had one of my best runs. This year feels a little bit more difficult to navigate because there's so many transfers, opt-outs, coaches leaving and shit like that. So you gave me a couple picks that caught your eye. We went through a little bit of it. So we'll just talk about it again on stream and then see if anybody in the chat has anything to say about that. You guys still going to the Pop-Tart Bowl? Is that the fucking Kansas State game? I would love to go to that game. Steak, is that the one I texted you about? I don't think you care about it.
I want to go.
You do?
Oh, of course I do. It's a football game in Orlando.
I'm not saying that you are down for a fucking sporting event, but it's also one of those things too. Like we have a lot of shit coming up. We've got hella Magic games, but we're going on the 29th. Is that still confirmed?
Yeah.
Courtside, Knicks. My wife is in shambles. She's not going to that.
She gets the Hawks.
She gets the Hawks. Okay, so the Hawks are what? January?
Yeah, I think it's January 7th. They'll be on like a 19-game losing streak by then, I think.
Okay, so don't fucking jinx it.
Hawks. I can jinx the Hawks.
I know, but I'm saying I don't want them to get hot and then beat the Magic. But anyways, we have the Pop-Tart Bowl. And then there's always like a better bowl game. Do you already know what that's going to be? Yeah.
Cheez-It Bowl, yeah. Tennessee and Iowa, if you want to call that better.
Oh.
Yeah, it's rough.
That sucks because Tennessee would actually be kind of fun because I bet you they're fan. Well, Iowa fans would travel. Yeah. You know what? I would say this about Iowa, Tennessee. The game, the product itself, probably going to be dog shit, but the atmosphere might be kind of cool.
Yeah, I actually think there'll be a shit ton of fans there. I think the atmosphere will be great, but I think the football game is going to be miserable.
Okay. Do you know the date on that game?
I think it might be New Year's Day.
Are you going to go? Are you going to go? Like, do you already have it made up in your mind that you're going?
No, I haven't made up in my mind to go to the Pop-Tart Bowl.
All right, cool. I don't know why I have a hard on for Kansas State, but then Will Howard's leaving. That was kind of my guy, so I'm not like as excited anymore. Yeah. All right, so first game coming up is Saturday. It's 11 a.m. Myrtle Beach, Georgia Southern in Ohio. I think you initially liked Georgia Southern, but now you're being talked off a little bit. Georgia Southern was an underdog. I think they were a 3.5-point underdog. Now they're a 2.5, 3-point favorite against Ohio. I'm going to pull the board up. Can you remind me again? What talked us off of this?
Oh, Curtis Rourke, who I believe, and God, I'm probably going to get corrected in the chat.
That's okay.
Curtis Rourke, who I think was the MAC Player of the Year, transferred to Indiana. And honestly, I actually still kind of like Georgia Southern, but it goes against everything I stand for to bet against a team who lost their quarterback, especially when the quarterback's a stud. So I think it's a layoff for me, but I mean, if I was filling out a bowl game lean sheet, I think I'd still punch in Georgia Southern.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. McKiffin says Rourke is a Canadian stud. What is Curtis Rourke related to Nathan Rourke? Do you know that? I mean,
I kind of thought he was.
Am I making that up? Like, there's a Nathan Rourke that was a Canadian quarterback, right? Oh, they're brothers.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fucking cool. Okay, so Curtis Rourke is gone. So now this would be like a buy bad news situation, a contrarian play where nobody's going to be betting on Ohio, and that's why it's scaring us off. But I agree with you. At the end of the day, Ohio's still a 9-3 team. Georgia Southern is a 6-6 team. They're also Georgia Southern's 1-5 on the road. Not a very good road.
Their last 4 too.
They lost their last 4. That is something I mentioned, and I have not done. I'm sorry, I haven't had the time, but I will try to this weekend, although it's not going to help so much with this. But I did try to do some sort of research into like a bowl trend, And chat, if you guys want to help out with this, or maybe you know something, I'd be curious to know how teams fare in bowl games when they ended the season on losing streaks. Did they get up to try to fucking, end it on a high note and get a win for morale? Or do they just continue to fucking plummet and not give a shit? And then vice versa too. How did teams do on a winning streak? Because you would imagine those teams are probably going to be a little public going into the bowl game. So that's something you kind of looked at and factored in into your capping, which I think is smart. All right, so we're gonna stay off that Lafayette and Jacksonville State. You got any thoughts on this one?
No, I really don't. I originally leaned Lafayette, but I didn't do my due diligence on this one to see if both the starters were playing.
Okay.
So I lean Louisiana, but I don't think I'm playing that one either.
Okay.
Next one I am though.
Jacksonville State was kind of a fun team this season, 8-4. I would imagine. I don't know that they've been to a bowl game.
I think it's their first year in FBS. Am I making that up?
I don't think so. I think that sounds accurate. First year in FBS, potentially made a bowl game. I mean, they've got to be a team. This actually might be a fun game because on the flip side, Lafayette, granted they're 6-6, but they're playing in New Orleans. So it's a bit of a, home field, home crowd type of thing. I don't know how many Raging Cajun fans there are out there. That should be a fun game. Total 56.5 up to 58.5. If anything, I guess what I'm getting at is you got two teams that might be motivated to play. So that could be a reason why money's maybe hitting the over. I would consider following it. Look at this fucking dingus.
Greg joined on Twitter.
Greg joined on Twitter.
Welcome, Greg.
Welcome, Greg. It's nice of you to be in here. Bro, I just got the notification. Really? That's so weird. I promise you I do not control that. NFL QBV, CBV, CFB. Sorry, I can't say that even on Saturdays. No, I don't necessarily agree. But we are getting to the nitty gritty of NFL. So if you don't give a fuck about bowl games, I'm not gonna.
Maybe I ain't gonna talk about it too long.
App State, another Saturday game. Wow, Saturday's fucking loaded. Saturday in Miami of Ohio, and this is one that made our newsletter. App State 4 to 6.5. We're gonna be on App State. We're pretty late to the number. What did you like about App State? I
just think that's a monster spread. I think 4. They were too big of favorites at 4 when you consider. And once again, I'm pretty confident Gabbert's playing. If he's not, let me know.
That's the Miami quarterback.
Yep, exactly.
Okay.
And Miami had a good year. They beat Toledo in the championship game, and I couldn't see why they'd be underdogs at all, let alone moving from 4 to 6.5. Yeah. As you see, slightly more tickets on Miami of Ohio. I think that's a us bet all day.
Okay. Yeah. And the one thing we noted too, how they ended the season. I mean, App State was on a nice little 4-game run covering and winning, but then they got their ass kicked to Troy. Miami of Ohio, 11-2. They did have a fantastic year. The player that's most important is the quarterback. He's still in, so there's no weird shit going on there. And they ended the season on a 5-game winning streak and beat Toledo, as you mentioned, outright as a 6.5-point underdog.
Toledo's good.
Yeah, you said that.
Yeah.
I think you said that during the season. You're like, I think they were like minus 17 or 18, and I think you were going to bet on them. You're like, I think Toledo's pretty good this year. I saw steak and bowl in your notification and got hungry. Oh, yeah, that sounds nice. Oh, I don't know about for breakfast. Well, steak and eggs isn't bad. Excuse me. Twitch notification been asked for years. Okay. If I'm not mistaken, App State's QB is good, right? Couldn't tell you. I'm not going to act like I know. The only thing I can tell you is this. I've gone to Boone quite a few times for ski trips, which is where Appalachian State is. I've been on their campus and everything. It's a nice little town. This is the Mexico Cure Bowl, and I don't know where that is. Do you know where the Mexico Cure Bowl is?
No. Is it in Mexico?
There's no fucking way Mexico has a bowl game. No way in hell. Maybe New Mexico.
They should call it the New Mexico Cure Bowl then.
Well, what if Mexico Cure is something?
Mexico Cure. We need to figure out where this game's at, because if it's in Mexico, then I love App State. You're not going to tell me Miami of Ohio is going to play well in Mexico.
For like 2.5 seconds, I thought you were being serious. I was like, why would App State
that game?
Why would App State play better in Mexico? All right, Fresno and New Mexico State. Here's New Mexico State. Avocados from Mexico, not just Mexico Cure Bowl. Doesn't really help me, Hill Daddy. Fresno 2.5, 3.5. Looks like New Mexico State might be a little trendier here. They're 10-4. Are they really 10-4? How
Yeah, they're good.
How do they play 14 games?
Yeah, that's a good question.
That's got to be a mistake. I've got a feeling nobody's going to want Fresno State.
Not a mistake.
That's wild.
Yeah.
I got a feeling nobody's going to want Fresno State here.
They're probably not. I actually got beat. I got beat a couple times late in the season trying to fade New Mexico State because I thought they were trendy.
Steak, we've got this coming in. I thought you said you looked at this. Miami of Ohio QB is injured.
Starting a third stringer. Oh, no, I didn't see that. Third string. Jesus.
You said he was playing.
Dude, I was all over Twitter. I didn't see anything saying he wasn't playing. Damn.
We're getting duped.
Explains the line move for sure.
Yep, it sure does. It's in Florida, not New Mexico. Well, I know it's neutral. It is not in Mexico. It is in Florida. Mexico Cure Bowl is in Orlando, people are saying.
Oh, you want to go?
I don't want to go. No. I do not want to go, but thank you for offering. All right, let's keep moving. A couple more games. Boise State and UCLA. I don't really know what to think about this game because I'll tell you what, I've bet on UCLA a handful of times. They were a best bet of mine when they're on the road in Arizona. And UCLA does this weird thing where they rotate between three quarterbacks. And I don't think they're going to do that. I'm sure one or two of them have probably left. So they might stick with one. I just think UCLA is dog shit. This is a game where I would imagine Boise State, the smaller school, would be fired up to play this. It's in LA. It's in UCLA's backyard. Boise State's a team I just don't really want to fade in bowl games, but at the same time, is Boise State trendy in bowl games because of what they've done in the past? So I don't think UCLA is necessarily a team that people are excited to bet on. I have no reason to get involved with this game. Do you like anything?
No. Dante Moore's the quarterback, right? The UCLA quarterback. He entered the transfer portal. I don't know. I don't think he committed anywhere yet, but I think he left UCLA. So that's one quarterback off the list. I don't know. Now I have to ask because the line moved from 2 to 4.5. Is Boise starting quarterback playing? Yeah, see, no Boise starting. This is fucking impossible, dude, with the transfer portal. And
I know, I told you.
Dude, it's so hard. I had a feeling when I saw 2 to 4.5 that he wasn't playing. So they're playing their third string quarterback too. Then, yeah, I would play Boise State.
I think I might actually. Well, somebody said Javon likes UCLA. Javon knows these schools fairly well. I am curious why he likes Boise State. Maybe I'll check with him or if he's going to explain it on Behind the Lines later. I don't necessarily want to fade anyone who has a grip on either of these teams, but at the same time, I would be lying if I said that Boise State and Fresno State aren't kind of looking at me a little funny.
Me too.
Okay, I'm just pulling the splits up here real quick, and I'd be curious to know where square under. Oh yeah, somebody commented that 51 down to 48.5. I could see that. I mean, I'm not impressed at all with UCLA's offense one bit the entire season. I can't imagine they're going to light up the scoreboard. I can't see either team lighting up the scoreboard. So I'm good with that. All right, here's a game that I like. I think you're right about this, and you know. We bet on Cal over 5.5 wins. I think we both tailed Javon on that. Speaking of, we got pretty lucky to win it. Cal was kind of asked to start the year. Then they went to, I think his name is Fernando Mendoza, the second or third string quarterback. Guy actually played pretty well. They ended the season, so they had a 4-game losing streak here against top-tier opponents. Then they ended the season beating the middle to bottom-tier ones, the Pac-12, Stanford, Wazoo, and at UCLA, where they really put that dick down on the Bruins. I'd have to imagine that Cal is going to get up and play this game. I think this is like the typical 6-6 team that I think is motivated to win a bowl game. A team like Cal and a team that might have a chip on their shoulder, and going into next season wants some momentum. Texas Tech, on the other hand, is a team like we had talked about. They're 6-6, but they had a disappointing year because they had pretty high expectations. Yeah. A lot of people, I'll never forget, RIP to this guy, DM'd me before the season started, said, Dejan, I go to Texas Tech, and I want to nuke their over-win total. They were pretty good last year, and they're returning something insane, like 18 starters. And they went 6-6. They did not go over the 7.5 or 8 win total, whatever it ended up being. But they did have an okay end to the season. It should be noted, despite the 50-point loss to Texas. They beat Kansas and they beat UCF. So I feel like that's
TCU.
and TCU. I mean, it was a bad TCU team, but that's okay.
That's
feel
a good
like
win if you're Texas Tech.
Yeah. You're right. I feel like that's a short spread. I don't know how accurate the 70% is that are taking Texas Tech, but I do think Cal is a perfect contrarian play and one that might make sense because of the reasons I just mentioned. You're on board with this, and this made our newsletter.
Yeah, 100%. I'm on board with it. I actually think Texas Tech is really trendy. They had the dog fight with Oregon, and I think people were high on them going into the year. And if I'm not mistaken, a lot of these guys, a lot of their studs come back again this year. I think their quarterback returns and their top receiver, so they're going to be trendy again next year. I like Cal.
Okay.
I really like Cal. That's actually the first one that stuck out to me of the first week or two of bowl games. Cal stuck out to me. I think it's like a pretty prime contrarian play. I really hope the line doesn't move anymore. I saw it went from 2.5 to 3, which I'm fine with. Obviously, I'd be a little sketched out if it started going 3.5 to 4, but other than that, I really like Cal.
So Cal's starting running back is out per people in the chat as well. I don't. What do they talk? Oh, you guys are talking about MMA. That's fine.
I'll, at the end, if you want me to chat about Colby Covington, I will. I'm going to hit you in the Discord too because I want to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, Steak is a good. Somebody said Steak looks like a UFC fighter. You kind of do, but you also kind of don't. You're more like a fullback or a linebacker. I mean, aren't most fighters like fucking like slender?
Nah, I don't think so. I think you got some thick fighters out there.
Who's a thick fighter? Oh, like Rampage.
Yeah, if you want to call him that. Yeah, there's a lot of them actually.
If I want to call him Rampage or if I want to call him thick?
If you want to call him thick, he'd probably beat your ass for that.
I wouldn't call him anything except sir. Okay, let's DMC. Who's DMC?
Oh, Daniel Cormier. That's probably the thickest.
I like that. I like Daniel Cormier. All right. Here are some splits, by the way. Cal's very contrarian. Again, we take these with a grain of salt, as always, but I like to look at them. 28% of bets, 34% of money. And while we're at it, looks like UCLA is a little public. Fresno State, it's not necessarily what you want to see, but people are on New Mexico State. Miami of Ohio, App State. Yeah, okay, fair enough. Jacksonville State, everybody's on as a short favorite. Yep, Georgia Southern's got a lot of handle. So it'll be interesting to see, guys. Let's pay attention to this because we have a nice little sample size. If we want to scale back and not go too crazy on Saturday, let's see how Steam is doing because there are some line moves here. On that note, the one thing I started to do with the bowls, when I started to put the results in the spreadsheet, I don't have any trends yet, but the one thing that stood out to me is the dogs were winning the earlier games. So I don't know if that's any indication of like, just the more motivated team, the little guy going into the bowl game was performing better than the favorite. Also, if underdogs were covering, they were also winning. So just something to keep in mind. How much stock do you put into public betting with all these players out? Not a ton.
Yeah,
not a ton.
Too much.
No. Again, I just wanted to I like to glance at it. I like to look at it. I don't put that much stock in them. You got to really, really be careful. These are hard, difficult times to bet on bowl games. Boss, the dish looked amazing. How was the parm? The parm was good. Thank you for asking. I have 2 regrets. One, the Jersey Fresh sauce, canned sauce that I got, not great. I wish I got DiNapoli. I just didn't see DiNapoli. I would have gone out of my way to find it, though. I like those crushed tomatoes. Number 2, I cut the mozz too thick. I wish I did a little bit thinner because it was like, I don't know, it was just a little bit too chewy on the sandwich. Other than that, it was great chicken parm. Thanks for hanging out. That was fun. Okay, let's keep moving.
You know what I had the other day? That was amazing. And you just made me think of it. Probably one of the best dishes I had in forever, veal parm.
Oh, veal parm fucks, dude.
Dude, it was insane. I've been dreaming about it.
Is that like one of the first times you've had veal parm?
Not one of the first times, but it's been a while. Authentic veal parm is absolutely goated.
Can I tell you, though, do you know what veal is?
As far as what? You gonna tell me something gross?
It's very sad what it is.
Baby cow.
It's like a but it's like when it's born, they like don't let it move. It's really apparently yeah. No, but there's if you order veal or veal in general, and you're like at a dinner with friends, it's kind of like a thing that like you never know if you're with someone, not like a vegetarian, but some people have like soft spots for veal because it's like kind of a sad thing how they make it. All right, let's move on.
Keep that in mind next time I order veal.
I'm sorry. Yeah,
look around the room.
Be careful who you're with when you order veal. But it is delicious. All right. Okay, a couple more games here, and then we'll talk NFL. Who knows where Greg is, but that's all right. He gets the baby pass. Old Dominion in Western Kentucky. Old Dominion, kind of like a Jacksonville State. Where the fuck did they come from? Fun team. Covered. I felt like they were covering a lot. They were always in these look-ahead spots for teams, like a weird team like Ohio or whatever was playing Old Dominion before they had like a fucking Vanderbilt or Wake Forest on deck, and not like a good team, but just a team in an actual conference that they wanted to get a win. And Old Dominion would cover. I think we played them once. I don't know that I can get there though. And the one thing I think I've heard with Western Kentucky is that they have 4 starting linemen out. So there is that makes the line make a little bit more sense if you at all thought that it was odd that Old Dominion was out. Cash, the minus 500, Greg, not in the office.
Bro.
No, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. You were not expected to be here.
You have to move the shelf by yourself. I'm also on baby duty right now. Ashley's on a call. So
okay.
That's why I was listening on Twitter because I wanted to see where you guys were at. But I was like, all right. She's not done soon. This fucking thing's not doing anything.
Well, we're on Old Dominion, so do you want to hang out, watch your baby for a little longer?
Yeah, I'll stay on mute. I do.
Okay. Old Dominion. I didn't mean to. What were you saying?
I just said put me back in the corner, and you put me back in the corner. So
okay.
I'm glad you guys brought up Cal, and I was glad to see that in the newsletter because that was one of my favorite ones.
Okay.
Yeah, let's go.
All right, we're gonna fly through and then hang out. We're gonna get to NFL real soon. All right, Old Dominion Steak, are you playing this game, yes or no?
So just right off the jump, before I already see the comments that everybody's in the portal. When I looked at the line, I immediately thought like, oh, somebody must, or a lot of people must be out for Western Kentucky because I would have never guessed they'd be underdogs. And I'll be honest with you, just contrarian brain, I'd probably bet Western Kentucky here with all the bad news.
Okay.
It appears there's a ton of bad news. I kind of like them as a short underdog. I would just bet a money line, maybe like a half a unit, nothing crazy, but I maybe buy a little bad news in this spot. I definitely wouldn't take Old Dominion.
Most of WKU and transfer portal, backup QB. Jesus. Okay, fatherhood, the best hood, Greg. All right, UTSA and Marshall. There's got to be something going on here, and I think I told you this. Marshall, I believe, is down to like their 4th or 5th string quarterback. I think I heard it was like Chad Pennington's son. It's a massive number. I kind of like UTSA. I pointed this out on the streams during like the later half of the season. They were a team that treated people well a year ago, and they came out of the season. I think they didn't cover the first 4 games, and I was like, watch, UTSA is going to start coming around and covering, and they did. They went on like a stretch of covering like the next 5 of 6.
Yeah.
I only played them once because I'm a dickbag, but I could totally see them just going in and blowing the doors off of Marshall. It's a big number, one of the biggest spreads of the bowl season. Makes sense with the bad news of Marshall. I might play UTSA. I'm not sure. Are you?
It would be what I'd lean to. I don't care about the bad news that much with how big the spread is and the fact that it's obviously moving in the right direction. And they're claiming Marshall's still getting slightly more of the action, which kind of makes sense when the spread's so big. So yeah, I lean UTSA, but nothing like jumping out to me.
Okay. And then last game for before we do next week newsletter again. So USF and Syracuse. This is an interesting game because USF is a team that I'm sure is probably going to be fired up. They started off really hot. They cooled off significantly late. But Syracuse, too, had a really underwhelming season. A lot of injuries. They came out of the gate pretty hot, cooled off. I think they're getting their quarterback back. He's supposed to play Schrader, I think. 58.5 up to 60.5. Sharps like the over. It's a sharp over that I could get behind, but it's definitely, just because it's a really high number, it's not suspicious. USF has played in high-scoring games all season, and I'm going to pull it up and tell you right now. They have seen totals 66.5, 70, 68, you know what I mean, 61, 67. So they're a really good over team. They ended the year winning 48-14 against Charlotte. I lean USF. How about you?
Yeah, I have a weird reasoning, and so I could be saying a lot of things wrong here, so I'll get corrected in the chat if this is true. So last year, Syracuse had a really good year by Syracuse standards, and if I'm not mistaken, they beat Minnesota in a bowl game.
Sounds right to me.
Does that sound right? I think that's what happened. And this year, I'd say, is the first time I've ever seen that like expectations were maybe like slightly high for Syracuse football. And I don't know if they're super hyped about going 6-6, but you know who's really hyped about going 6-6, I feel? USF.
Yeah.
And I feel like USF is almost a little bit like Syracuse last year. I think this game just means more to USF. USF wants to get a bowl win. That's huge. They've been one of the worst teams in Division I for a really long time. All they do is get the shit kicked out of them by UCF every year and go 2-11, it feels, or whatever they do. So this is a big game for them. And for that reason, I kind of like USF. I honestly think I can see myself playing them.
Okay. And the other thing people brought up, and they're right, Boca Raton Bowl. So it's going to be in USF's not backyard. I mean, Tampa's far. Not really. But yeah, a little bit of home field there. But people forget there are a fuck ton of New Yorkers in Boca Raton. So, and Greg is a Syracuse alum, big college grad. So I bet you're going to be fired up for that game, aren't you?
Dude, I can hardly wait. I'm going down to Boca for it. And I'm not really a Syracuse grad. Like I did the MBA there online. Like I would not consider, I mean, I guess technically I am, but I'm definitely a Florida alum.
Okay, fair enough. Did you go to Syracuse's campus?
Yeah, several times, but I didn't like live there.
Is it nice?
It's Syracuse. It's pretty nice.
Okay. I would have liked to have gone to, what's it called? The Carrier Dome for a game?
Carrier Dome was a little bit of a dump. It's just old, but I mean, the campus it's a college campus. It's not miraculous. It's not in disarray. It's just kind of copy paste cut campus.
USF, their campus is weird. Like it's weird that it's even a college, but I'll tell you what, those people down there can party, and we all can attest. The women in Tampa are if you're a single guy, that's where you want to be. Put it that way. I remember, Jake, when we worked at a club. You're smirking. We hired a cocktail server from Tampa. And she was like really close with Bruce Gradkowski. Do you remember that?
Kinda.
Yeah.
I remember getting in some trouble in Tampa with you a few times.
A little bit. All right.
Define really close with Gradkowski. What does that really close mean if you're a cocktail server?
I think actually maybe we shouldn't
cousin or like sucked his dick.
Probably the latter.
Oh, earmuffs, baby.
Yeah, it's Florida, man. Maybe both. All right. All right, let's get into the NFL. It's 11:15. We've got plenty of time. We got a big board, and I like the board. Greg, you like the board. Steak,
I do really like the board.
You like the board, but I feel like this might be the first time we like the board more than you like the board. Is that accurate?
Me?
No. Do we me and you like the board more than Steak?
Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe, but only it might be me because we got banged up a little bit last week. So maybe I'm cautious this week.
Which is fair. Everybody needs to have one person that's like the fucking keep you grounded a little bit.
I mean, look, you got 4 weeks left of regular season NFL. I always count week 18 as kind of a wash. So you get 3 more good football packed weekends, especially now. I love when we get to this Saturday slate like we have now of like 1 a.m., 4:30, 8:30 standalone games. And then you go into a full Sunday NFL. Like this to me is like the NFL peaking.
It's fair. It's very fair. So it should be said, we've had a very good season in the newsletter, but we have hit 2 weeks of regression. We went 2-4, and then we went 0-3. Unfortunately, we didn't go 1-3 because transparency. We did tweet off the Seahawks first half. They did cover when Locke got announced, so we don't count that towards our record. So a 2-7 run brings us to plus 9 point something units on the year. Still a pretty good record overall. I think 44-30, but we got to get back on the W train. My NFL season has been definitely pretty poor. I haven't had a really good read or feel for these teams towards the later half of the year. But I'm gonna get my I'm not gonna dip my toe in the water. I'm gonna get all the way in. I'm gonna have some plays and I'm gonna have some bets. So let's talk about it. 1:00, first game, Vikings at the Bengals. The Sharps like Minnesota, 4 down to 3.5, down to 3. Bengals are playing their second home game after they won on primetime against Jacksonville as 10-point underdogs. Browning looked like Montana. They come back. They play the Colts. I had the best bet. My best bet was the Colts last weekend. I thought the Colts were going to stay as road dogs and fade Browning off that all-time high performance. Not good. Colts didn't get any bounces. They missed a 38-yard field goal. Holding call brought back a Zach Moss touchdown. That was then an interception. It was not good. So the Bengals now look to win 3 in a row, and the Vikings are going to be turning to Nick Mullins. Steak, why don't you lead us off? Are you in line as a Vikings fan with the Sharps in this game? Total is also on the rise too, 39.5 to 40.5.
I mean, it's got all the things. It's got all the things to be a sharp play, going off how the Vikings played last week, and then they benched their quarterback. And on the other hand, the Bengals look amazing back-to-back weeks against the Jags and the Colts. There's more bets on the Bengals, but for some reason, the line's moving towards the Vikings. Like, it has all the things. And it doesn't really, it's not giving me like fake sharp vibes or duping vibes, to be honest. It's giving me, you should probably play the Vikings vibes.
Greg?
I like the Vikings too here. I don't love them, but I like them. I do think we missed the value. It would have been great to get this at 4.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I do think Browning has not played a legitimate defense yet. And you see the way the Vikings defense is trending, the way it's going. Like, this to me is definitely worth a unit on the Vikings here. Also, it should be said of like the Dobbs, moving on from the Dobbs era, like Nick Mullins, I think is going to be much more like Kirk Cousins. He's not going to be as good as Kirk Cousins. But I mean, I didn't even think about this, but basically the whole reason Dobbs got benched, I think, is because he threw that one pass to Jet over the middle and got him hurt. And they're like, all right, let's get this fucking guy out of here before he breaks our best wide receiver. And let's go to somebody who's a little bit more accurate, a little bit more buttoned up, a little bit more of what we do as a team, as opposed to this Josh Dobbs wild card.
Yeah, I watched that game because I had Josh Dobbs' legacy, which did not happen. But I was watching. Jake, I don't know if you were watching, but I was talking to Greg about this the other day, and he was kind of laughing at me. But I was like, man, when Nick Mullins got in there, he looked pretty good. But I don't know if he just looked good because Josh Dobbs had looked so bad. But he threw, it's just nice to see a confident throw downfield and hit Hawkinson for 15 yards and hit Addison or whatever. I was like, okay, now I've got a competent quarterback. He drove the ball twice. They got the field goal they needed. The defense has been great. I think I'm good with it. It feels like an uncomfortable play. It feels like a contrarian play. I think that I don't like the over. If I had to play a total here, I'm going to be on the Vikings. Does anybody have any thoughts on the total? Steak?
I got one thing I want to say because I think it's worth mentioning. The 3-0 Vikings-Raiders game was obviously a travesty and horrible to watch, but really a pretty good defensive performance by the Vikings when you see what Aiden O'Connell goes out and does 4 days later. Yeah. To see that Aiden O'Connell's capable of that makes the Vikings' performance look a little more impressive on defense, and it kind of makes me think that I feel a little comfortable betting on Brian Flores to figure out Jake Browning a little bit, which is why I would lean the under, because I really believe that if you like the Vikings, the only way the Vikings are going to win this game is by holding the Bengals to 17 or less. Like, they can't score more than 17 and the Vikings win the game. There's no way.
Oh, my God. Greg literally has a baby in his hands.
Done.
Done. You literally had a baby in your hands?
Yeah, dude. That's why I said I was on duty. Like, it was, what did you think I meant?
Bro, on duty,
I wasn't like holding her up, like, look at this. Like, it was just kind of chilling.
On duty is different than like you're in the fucking trenches battling.
Look, she's fucking 3 weeks old. She's got to be.
I thought it was laying in a crib and you just had eyes on it.
Oh, no,
on duty, Greg. You're not on duty. You're active.
This is multitasking. I'll say that.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey. Oh, here's Evan. Let's see. Hey, Degenerate. I was cooking along with you last night. Followed your instructions. I had food poisoning. I can't stop making shit all over the place. Thanks for that. Now my wife said I'm disgusting and my kids hate me. Honestly, Evan,
chicken. That's not on you. You got to cook the chicken through.
Yeah. Blame Tony. All right. Tony told me it was 3 minutes per side. No, it was great. It came out nice. Yeah, you're mid-combat, Greg. You are not on duty.
She was sleeping. She was
okay. So the last thing I will say, W. Cornfields, by the way, Cornfields is a loyal follower. I respect his capping. He's a Vikings fan, but he pointed out something kind of interesting too. Jake Browning used to be on the Vikings. They drafted him. They've got a lot of tape on him. I think this is kind of weird, but similar to, a team, this is just weird in sports, but like teams kind of shoot themselves in the foot. And they've had 2 really, really good games against the Jags and against the Colts. I could kind of see that happening here, and that's why I don't like the over. I could see some drives getting stalled. I could see some turnovers. I could see some penalties, bringing back some big plays. So I like the under, and I like the Vikings. And Steak, you had a good point. If you like the Vikings, you should like the under and the Brian Flores defense. All right, let's keep moving.
Wait. We didn't bring this up, and this is important, and this is W. Cornfields because he pointed it out to us as well. But Browning, before joining the Bengals, was on the Vikings.
I literally just said that.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I'm on baby.
Okay, now the multitasking seems fucked up.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Now I'm good. Now
Jesus
I'm good.
Christ,
Continue.
that's amazing. Okay, these are Saturday games, by the way. That was 1:00. Now we've got the Colts and the Steelers. It's just, yeah, State can't stop laughing. I didn't know if you were fucking with me or not.
I wish I was.
That's okay. That's all right. I mean, you had a baby in your hands. All right, Colts minus 1.5. It was 2.5. It's down to 1.5. I have to tell you. And maybe you should talk some sense into me. I have the worst feeling. I just made the Colts my best bet and they fucked me. Now I'm going to fade the Colts and I'm going to play the Steelers. You know, like sometimes you just go opposite of these teams and you can't get it right and they fuck you both ways. I sort of feel like that's going to happen. And I'm kind of wondering if anybody is really taking the Colts here. Do you think the Colts are public?
Yes. I think the Colts are public because Mitch Trubisky's playing and he's so bad. And my reason for liking the Steelers is obviously nothing to do with Mitch Trubisky, but I think after seeing what the Bengals were capable to do to the Colts, I really like the Steelers defense in this game. And I don't think I'm going to be changing my mind or anything like that. I do think people like the Colts. Okay. And I know they got their dicks kicked in a little bit by the Bengals, but they even made that game interesting for a little bit before they let it go again. And Jake Browning's balling, man. He just beat the Jags too. And I really do think people like the Colts here, to be honest with you.
Okay. Greg, I was talking about how I'm going to go to the Steelers, but I'm just wondering if the Colts are going to fuck me both ways after betting on them, now betting against them here. And I was wondering, do you think the Colts are actually public? Steak says yes. He makes some good points. And then I had that guy Bess on earlier, who was pretty funny. And
he seems like a good dude. Yeah, I was listening.
Yeah, I thought he was entertaining. And it was funny for a 24-year-old how he bets. He kind of thinks like we do. And he thought it was a gross line. And he says it's short. And he's like, who is going to take the Steelers with Mitch Trubisky? And I was like, well, maybe you're right. And then Chernoff made some really good points about the extra rest because the Steelers played on Thursday. And then you made some good points, I think, where the Steelers got in a hole to the Patriots, but they did score 18 points after that and start to make it competitive, and it was off a slow start. So maybe their offense does play pretty well against this really bad defense. It's going to be a breath of fresh air to go from the Patriots D to the Colts D. So I'm on board with it, and I'm assuming you are as well.
Yeah, I do really like the Steelers here. You hit on a couple points, but I do think the Colts are public here. Granted, the Steelers' record looks good. They just lost back-to-back weeks to 2-win teams, right? Like fucking in a 5-day period, they lost to the 2 worst teams in the NFL, and neither game was really close. Like the Cardinals game got away from them and just snowballed, and the Patriots jumped out to that 21-zip lead, and the Steelers chipped away and it came back. What I think was more impressive was Mitch looked better as that game went along. And granted, it was a very tumultuous time, right? Because they got rid of Matt Canada. Great, awesome, cool, good win against the Bengals, 400+ yards for the first time in forever. Awesome. And then the next week against Arizona, you had Pickett go down. There were some weather delays in that game that just kind of made it wonky. You never really got Mitch to get his footing. And then you had 4 days to prepare for one of the best defenses. Granted, the Patriots are shit, but their defense is good. You had 4 days to prepare for that, and now you have 10 days to prepare for a Colts defense, which is significantly worse. And I mean, the thing too was the Steelers' run game started to look pretty good. The Patriots were able to shut that down, and then it was, oh fuck, where do we go from here? But Mitch did get better as that game went along, and I do think they're able to come out and put some points up. The other thing too is there has been some line movement to the Steelers, but that's more around TJ Watt was supposed to be missed and he was in concussion protocol. Alex Highsmith was supposed to miss. He was in concussion protocol. Landon Roberts, who's another really good guy at stopping the run, was supposed to miss with like a groin injury, I want to say. All those guys are now expected to play. And I think that bodes really well for the Steelers defense, especially that Landon Roberts guy, who isn't really a well-known guy, but he's critical to stopping the run.
Okay. And you didn't mention this, but Landon Roberts might be playing, and he's critical to stopping the run.
Yeah, sorry. I mean, I probably said it a couple times. But anyway,
I'm just kidding.
This guy, Jake Browning, he was actually on the Vikings practice squad.
I don't know what happened to your internet, but it just got really bad, by the way.
Oh, really?
Oh, now it's a little bit better. Jake, did you see that?
Yeah, but I think it's good now. Also, I want to mention, I mean, 41 to 42.5 is an interesting line move towards the over.
So the only thing about that, though, you're not wrong. It's definitely a game. If I was playing this, I'd play the over. But dude, have you seen Colts totals at home? All they do is go up.
Yeah.
All they do is go over.
Score, yeah.
And I was talking to Javon about this. I don't know if I was on BTL that week or not, but he loved the Bucks Colts over, and it opened like 43, and I think it got up to 44, 44 and a half. Greg Chernoff loved it. All the smart guys loved it. And I'm like, it seems like the easiest bet on the board. Colts games soar over. And the Bucks recently on the road had scored 30-something against the Texans, and then it landed 27-20, so it went over by a late field goal. But so I'm just, I'm like, man, 41 seems really low. Now it's on the move. It could just be one of those, don't overthink it. Just fucking keep playing the overs. All right, so that's the midday Saturday.
The last thing, too, with this game from a motivation standpoint, this is basically a playoff game because both these teams are right there at like the 6-7 seed. They have some not impossible schedule down the stretch, but like these aren't teams that are going to run the table. So I really view this as a playoff game and the losers out of it. And that to me says, give me Mike Tomlin and the Steelers defense over the Colts and Gardner Minshew.
Okay, cool. We'll be on the Steelers. We like the over as well. All right, big game here Saturday night. What a nice little Saturday slate. Wow. Although not if you look at
Saturday slate.
If you look at quarterbacks, though, what do you got? Browning, Mullins, Trubisky, Minshew. It's not great, but it's a
the whole league right now, dude.
I know. The whole league.
So I really unpopular opinion, but we really don't need 17 football games. That's a lot. I think 16 would have been.
Right, just shut up and be thankful you have it because March would be dying for it.
Broncos, Lions. Can y'all answer my question, please? It's nice of you to ask.
He was asking about Steelers to make the playoffs. I don't hate it because after this they get the Bengals at home. I think that you could mark that as a win. Maybe they get the Ravens week 18 and the Ravens have already clinched the number 1 seed and they get lucky. The thing that's tough with that is the Bengals are starting to look good. The Bills are starting to get it together. The whole AFC is just going to be a dogfight down the stretch. So I think there's better teams you could put your money on than the Steelers.
Oh, just bet them this week. If you like them to make the playoffs at plus 220, you like them as a slight underdog to the Colts because if they lose this game, they're out of the playoffs. So I'd take it week by week basis personally if I was going to do that.
Okay. I heard there may be a map play. You are right.
Good segue. Right. Good segue to the Lions game.
I think it's here. So I'm just going to set it up, and then Greg, you can go. Is this your best bet?
Yep.
All right. So 8:15 Lions. They were -3.5, -4. Got bet up to 5. Then it came back down to 4. So people took the Broncos with the 5. The Lions are 9-4. They're 4-2 at home. They're 3-3 ATS at home. Broncos 3-3 road team, 2-3-1 ATS. 46.5 up to 47.5. That's all I'll say. Greg, you can take it from there. Why are the Lions your best bet?
Yeah, I mean, you look, we pointed this out twice before. Actually, we didn't point it out. Fucking shout out Mid-Major Matt if you're on here. He pointed it out. Teams playing 3 consecutive road games, right? So you had the Titans, I think, in week 11. Their 3rd consecutive road game was in Jacksonville. Jags absolutely murderballed them, wiped the floor with them. And then you had it again just last week. The Panthers, 3rd consecutive road game, divisional game at the Saints. Saints wiped the floor with them. That game was really wonky. But anyway, it was never close from a scoreboard perspective. And now you get the Broncos doing the same thing off of, they lost the first one against the Texans. They beat the shitty Chargers last week. And now they go to the Lions. So you have that angle of just a team that's been traveling a ton. Injuries are starting to compound on their defense, which has looked really good. But the other side of it, too, is the market's finally readjusted to the Lions, where you saw the Lions were like 7-point, 8-point favorites like 3 weeks in a row. Actually, against the Saints, they were a bit of a short favorite, but they still covered that. And they had some really tough divisional games. Now this is kind of a coming back home. Goff's in his element. Goff's not out at Soldier Field against a really tough defense. And I think the Lions kind of swung back in their favor where it makes sense to jump on them. I mean, during that Lions rut of Packers, Saints, what was the other one? Packers, Saints, Bears. I think we faded the Lions like 3 of the 4 games, and we didn't touch the other one. So we really played that nicely, and I think we're getting the other side of the pendulum now. We're getting a shorter line at home. Really, the Broncos defense has looked phenomenal, but it's looked phenomenal because it's gotten turnovers at the right time. Mm-hmm. And Goff, like I said, on the road at home, very different guy. I think the Lions are pretty conservative here. I think you see a good game from Gibbs, good game from Montgomery, some Amon St. Brown. Like, I think Goff kind of just dinks, dunks, does that little stuff rather than go for the big plays and get kind of fucked over on that sense. So
Cool.
I do think this is a game where the Lions all season long were one of the, I don't want to say public darlings, but they were a team that everybody liked in. Everybody sort of believed them to do something in the playoffs. And now that's really starting to fizzle. And I think they kind of show everybody, hey, we actually are a legit team. We may not win the NFC. We may not do anything special, but we're going to blow out teams we should at home.
Okay. Line is exactly like Saints. Lions. Saints seem sharp. Lions covered. I think people will see this and think Detroit covers again. Steak, you concur?
Yeah, I concur. I'll try to make it simple because there was a point at the season, and I think these were the same exact times. There was a point where everybody was like, I'm going to go get my Detroit Lions Super Bowl ticket while it's hot. And at that same time, everybody was like, man, the Denver Broncos are trash. They're just as bad as they were last year. And they fucking suck. I was one of those guys for sure. Mm-hmm. Since then, Denver's played its best football of the year by far, and Detroit's played its worst football of the year by far. But I think everybody who watches football agrees that Detroit at their best and Denver at their best, Detroit is much better. And so I actually think this is a really interesting game, maybe the most interesting game of the week. I'm very comfortable betting Detroit at home to get back to a little bit of normalcy. And I just think you get good games from guys like Jared Goff and the receivers and Gibbs and Montgomery, and a little less of what we've seen against the Bears. Hopefully, thank God they don't have to play the Bears anymore this year because they haven't looked worse than they did when they played them. But yeah, I like them. I like them, and I kind of think this is the end of the playoff run for Broncos and Russ here.
Yeah, I don't think they quite can, but maybe they can. I might need a Detroit guy to fact check me, but they might be able to clinch the division this week too. If a couple things go their
way. If Vikings and Packers lose?
The Lions, yeah. And they'll know what the Vikings did when it comes time for them to play. And at worst case, like they really have to win this or the Vikings are really lighting a fire into their ass. I think the Packers shot themselves in the foot with that loss to DeVito. But
the last thing I'll say, and then we'll move on. The Lions or the Broncos run defense is not very good. And I do think the Lions in this game, if you're trying to attack it, I'm a Gibbs guy, got to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. It's not going to hit, but that's okay. I think you really can't go wrong. I think it's going to be one of those games where the Lions don't punt many times. I think they're going to find success on the ground. And then I think also might open up some deep shots. I think might get a little cheeky player prop here, just how my brain's working. I'm not necessarily going to attack. I don't know if it's going to be Amon-Ra or Jameson Williams or something like that, but I like Jared Goff longest completion. I think we get a lot of running, ground these fucking tired Broncos defenders on their third road game, and then boom, open it up for the big deep ball. So, all right, we're all on the line.
Fact check me, but that guy that the Lions, I forget his last name, Gardner Johnson or something maybe.
Yes.
The Lions got him from the Eagles. I think he's back this week too.
I believe he is too.
So that's a big staple. But yeah, this is an official map play. I saw somebody mention in the chat.
Official map play, and also just last thing I was thinking about injury wise. I think the Broncos, I don't know the guy's name, but his safety might be out. And apparently people are saying
that's what I mean. The Broncos have a couple injuries on defense.
Yeah. Gardner Johnson is back. All right, cool. He's really big for them. Awesome. Amon-Ra is going to bounce back after a stinker. Yep. Got a 75 on my final while watching the board review. Thanks, DJ. Hey, you're welcome. And don't just thank me. Thank Steak and Greg too, because we're all about teaching. You know what I mean? We want to teach you guys, even though I don't give a fuck about school. All right, let's keep moving. That's Saturday. Oh, wait. Yes. Okay. So that's Saturday. First game on the board for Sunday, Texans and the Titans. I have a feeling in this game, and I threw it out there to the group chat. It looks like it was 2.5. It's now 3, total 37.5. And Steak, you talked me off of it a little bit. So a little bit. Not saying you were super strong against it. Maybe you are, maybe you're not, but I want to hear why. I like the Texans, and I wanted to fade the high of the Titans after beating the Dolphins. I'll talk a little bit more about it when it comes back my way, but Stroud might not play. It'll be either Case Keenum or Davis Mills. If it's Davis Mills, I'm okay taking Davis Mills as a dog on the road with the points. And I'm going to tell you one other thing I like about fading the Titans, but I won't do too much yapping to start. Steak, why are you apprehensive on fading the Titans right now? Oh, you're shaking your head.
I'm not apprehensive if it's Davis Mills. I just don't want to make a decision until I know who's playing quarterback. That's all I'm saying. If CJ Stroud is any type of underdog to Will Levis, even if the line moves 2 points, whatever it may be, if he's any type of underdog, I would stay far, far away from that. Even if he's coming off the injury, the concussion, and even if they're coming off that 30-6 stinker, I would not feel comfortable putting money on CJ Stroud as an underdog to Will Levis. But Davis Mills, I could definitely be talked into that with 3 points.
Okay. Greg?
Yeah, I took the Texans yesterday. So a weird thing, like the NFL has been so diligent on concussion protocol stuff of like, all right, you're in concussion protocol, you're basically not playing this next week, and then the following week you're back, everything's all good. You see it with TJ Watt this week where he had a concussion absolutely the previous week, and now he's playing. I actually think Stroud's going to play here. And even if he doesn't, I'm fine with Davis Mills. So I took it at that +3 because I do think if Stroud's announced in, you're going to see a lot of movement towards him. I mean, at the end of the day, even if it's Davis Mills, even if Davis Mills goes down, that's their third string. Like the Titans aren't a team that typically blow teams out. And I think best case scenario for the Titans is they push on this 3. So I'm happy taking it where it is. Maybe I get a better number, maybe I get a worse. I'm happy laying it even at that +3. I think you saw the low mark for the Texans last week. I mean, couldn't have been much worse. One thing, shame on us for missing, is Jets, Texans. Saleh was like a mentor to D'Amico Ryans in San Francisco and absolutely knew exactly what he was going to do and had it schemed perfectly for that. So,
okay.
With all that said, I'm happy laying the Texans here at the 3.
Okay. Yeah, the only other thing I liked, I was watching that Titans game, and the Dolphins really took their foot off the gas and felt like they were already thinking about Scarlets and 11 when it was 27-13. And I watched the Will Levis and the Titans move the ball down the field. I mean, I just couldn't believe how the Dolphins checked out in that game. So not to take anything away from what Will Levis did, because he did make some really good plays where I earned some respect for him. But I think it was just a little bit of an asterisk there. And also not to mention Tyreek Hill was out most of that game. All right, let's keep it moving. By the way, thank you for letting me know that BTL is starting at noon. We're not going to finish in 20 minutes, so we'll keep going. I always try to finish and segue into them, but we're going to go a little bit longer. It's just impossible to cover all these games.
Yeah, somebody brought it up too, but real quick, just on the Texans weapons, they are missing some big guys, which is a problem, but I'm willing to look past that. I do think Dalton Schultz is supposed to play. I think he practiced yesterday.
Yeah.
Obviously, no Tank Dell, obviously no Nico Collins, but
yeah, and in a way that's a little like, bad news that you're buying if you want to feel contrarian with the Texans, especially if Stroud doesn't play. But yeah, they are down some guys. Okay, cool. Dolphins and the Jets. This is Steak's best bet. I'm gonna let you talk about this one. I fucking hate fading the Jets and Zach Wilson and being wrong just because of how adamant I was and made a video about it last year on fading the Jets on their win total and it going over. So anytime that happens, people are very quick to rub my face in it, starting with Drew, our friend. Total 40 down to 37.5. It was 10. It got all the way down to 8.5. I think it's back up to 9 or 9.5. I think that's optimism that Tyreek Hill might play. But regardless, I'm okay fading the Jets here. Steak, you're on the Dolphins. It's your best bet.
It's my best bet. I am very eager to hear the Tyreek Hill news. I'll be honest with you, when I made it my best bet, I kind of assumed Tyreek Hill wasn't playing, but it's not going to talk me off it. But we watched the Dolphins as soon as Tyreek Hill went out. All the murmurs about how Jalen Waddle's not a wide receiver number 1, which I kind of agree with that statement, and that Tua is not as a game manager without Tyreek Hill. And then the Jets. The Jets obviously are incredibly confusing, but they had their best performance of the year. I think we all agree on that. Defensively shut down CJ Stroud. Zach Wilson had his best game as a pro. So it's one of those spots, buy low, sell high in the same game kind of thing. The Dolphins, that shit was embarrassing on Monday night. That was embarrassing, especially embarrassing for the defense. When Tyreek Hill's out and you just need to make one play to end a game against a mediocre to below mediocre team and you don't win that game. Like, I don't think there's been any fun in practice this week for the Dolphins at all, especially when you consider that they're competing for a 1 seed in a first-round bye. That was a horrible loss. And I just think you're going to get a much better Dolphins team, much more focused, and they're much, much better. Even without Tyreek Hill, I think they're much better than the Jets. And I like the Dolphins anywhere around that 8 to 9 number. I think Dolphins win by 2 touchdowns.
Real quick, somebody said Tyreek Hill is out. I literally just got this 2 minutes ago that Tyreek Hill is questionable.
I just saw the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So Saucy, not to shit on you or anything, but just I don't know what sources you're looking at, but don't make a bet assuming that Tyreek Hill is out. He hasn't practiced, but he is questionable. All right, Greg, anything else to add on that game?
Yeah, I will say last week was a little baity. I was on the Titans that Monday night game, but you saw a ton of those tweets from the John Ewing type accounts of like, man, when the Dolphins are favorites of a touchdown or more, they're like 15-0. And like the Dolphins just all they do is beat up on bad teams. And then sure as shit, they lose outright in kind of a ridiculous game. I mean, that was one of the wilder sequences because it was literally sweating Titans plus 14. And they ended up winning outright with fucking 3 minutes to go. So kind of a crazy.
Which had never happened before, which is crazy.
Yeah, crazy. But anyway, so with all that being said, you're not hearing that narrative around the Dolphins of beating up bad teams. You're hearing the narrative of the Jets defense. You're hearing the narrative Zach Wilson, AFC player of the week. I do think that regardless of the Tyreek news, McDaniel's able to scheme and get him open. Although I do think the Dolphins had a really big injury on the offensive line.
They did. Their center.
Be a problem. Okay. It
is a big deal.
Problem. Yeah, that's a big deal. But I'm still fine taking the Dolphins in this one with that big number.
Okay. The only other thing I will say, our buddy Drew is going to the game. He's a Jets fan, and he texts me, Jets money line, they're going to win. But I will say he is 1-0 on the year when he's done this. He said that about the Eagles because the Eagles had a lot of injuries that game, and he was right. So can he go 2-0? I'm going to say no. But if he does and he's watching this stream, my, he is going to love rubbing my nose in that shit. So, all right, let's go Fins. And we're going to fade Zach Wilson after being player of the week. Here's an interesting game that I'm excited to talk about. This did not make our newsletter. It almost made the newsletter. I think we might be all over the place on this one. Or maybe you guys are honed in. As a Browns investor, I really hope I'm wrong. But I think I like the Bears. The Bears were 3.5. They're down to 3. The Browns apparently have come out. They've got some more injuries. Another offensive lineman down, a defensive lineman. I think Maurice Hurst is out. Grant Delpit's on the IR. I think Denzel Ward might not play. They are beaten, battered, and bruised and clinging to fucking Joe Flacco right now. 38 up to 38.5. Steak, we talked about maybe playing this under. You said you don't know if you like it. And you know what? You've had pretty good reads about these things, so I respect it, and I'm off. But I did initially lean Bears. And I lean under because I don't necessarily see Justin Fields lighting it up in Cleveland, but I kind of see the Bears defense has been playing better. I could see a little regression from Joe Flacco. I think I see an ugly game that the Bears somehow eke out or at least cover. Do you agree or disagree, Steak?
Damn, man. I'm having a really hard time doing anything but using my football brain. And I can't use my gambling brain for some reason. I keep looking, and I know that 3 is probably a little baity, and I see that 69% of the bets are on the Browns, and they just had a really impressive win against the Jags. But there's just something about me. I really don't think the Bears are going to win or cover in this game. I think they're going to struggle like a lot. I don't think Justin Fields is going to play well. I don't think the offense is going to play well. And like, I could just be way off here. I could be just being the public guy who's saying what he thinks, and it never goes that way. But to be honest with you, man, all I can picture is the Browns winning this game pretty comfortably.
Wow.
That's the honest truth.
Okay. All right. I respect gut plays and gut feelings. So it's enough to definitely likely keep me out of this. And I've heard, you know what I keep hearing? And Greg, I think Chernoff said this too. A lot of smart people are hitting the Bears, and they could be too sharp. And the reason they're doing is because the Browns injuries just keep lining up. And we see this with every sport. Pro bettors, big money, hitting teams when players are out. It doesn't always work out that way. Greg, you got anything on this game?
I'm probably not going to play anything here. I certainly lean Bears, but this is sort of that gut check of the season where I do have the Browns season total under. So I'm just going to sit back and hope the Bears pull it out. I don't see a reason to take a swing at this because the Browns are so fucking tough at home. They're such a tough team at home. Maybe it'll be. I saw somebody say it's going to rain. Yeah, I saw somebody say it's going to rain. That makes me like Fields a little bit in the slop. But I don't think this is worth a unit considering where I stand.
Okay. Fair
One
enough.
thing, I know this is a
Yep.
dumb narrative, but obviously we listen to Pardon My Take, and I feel like every time Big Cat gets excited about the Bears, they play horrible, and there's a little bit excitement on the last episode, and I just have to be honest. Like, I heard that episode where he's excited about the Bears again. There's the jokes about how they're not technically eliminated from the playoffs, and they wouldn't draft Caleb Williams now because Justin Fields is good. And I gotta be honest with you, man, I just don't like the Bears.
Oh, dude, I love that narrative. I talk about this, and it's like putting yourself in the mind of the fan, a fan in that city that's going to the game. When you start to get some hope and some excitement, and you're going to a game or like going to watch your team play, you just know you're going to get your soul crushed as soon as that hope comes in. So, yeah, I don't mind that narrative at all, to be honest with you. We're going to stay off of that entirely. Here's a tough one I can't figure out. I'm going back and forth on this game. Chiefs and the Patriots. Chiefs are, I guess they may have opened up 10 down to, I saw them at 9.5. I guess maybe they're 8.5 now. Total at 37. You know, I thought about taking the points with the Patriots at home, but then I started to think about the fact that, man, that is a lot of fucking points. And I'll just keep it short and sweet. I didn't play the Bills last week because I didn't want to fade Patrick Mahomes off and Andy Reid off of a loss. I am okay, especially with the way that game ended. He got really lucky if you're a Bills bettor or Bills fan or Bills anything, coming away with that win because of that fucking wild sequence at the end. But Mahomes is now being talked about as a whiny bitch. Everybody's dogging him and Andy Reid for chirping the officials on something that was clearly a penalty. It's one thing to not want to fade Mahomes and read off a loss. Now I feel like it's another to want to fade them after they're being clowned all over Twitter and social media. I'm just a little concerned about potentially getting duped with all these points with the Patriots at home. They have the extra rest. They looked okay against the Steelers. I'm going to stay off it. We'll switch up the blunt rotation here. Greg, are you taking this?
No play for me. It's Chiefs or nothing, but I can't get myself to the Patriots, and the Chiefs just feel too easy. I think the Patriots D is legit, obviously. But for me, this is one of those ones I'm happy to just stay away from.
You think the Chiefs feel too easy with this many points on the road?
Yeah, I do. I mean,
okay.
if you're talking about a 3-10 team, so I do.
Fair. Okay. Steak, you agree?
I wouldn't bet this game with your money.
Okay.
Pay me.
I think this is actually the lowest total of Mahomes' career.
Wow.
That's interesting.
That is quite interesting. I mean, 37 is fucking low.
It's very low, man.
Wow.
Very low.
Good nugget. W nugget, Greg. Okay.
It might be wrong. I'm sure Coach Casey will be like, Greg, you goddamn moron. They were 36 last weekend.
Okay. Falcons and Panthers. This is the fucking rat line of the weekend. I'm not going to do it. Maybe Steak will do it because you're gross and super contrarian. Greg's got that look on his face. Oh my God. Is he thinking about doing it?
No, I'm laughing at somebody just said W wrong nugget. Greg.
35.5 down to 33.5. I mean, I tweeted about this earlier in the week. I thought it was insanely short. The line being 3. Some people came and was like, oh, well, have you seen the Falcons play on the road? And, oh, yes. I mean, look, dude, I understand. I know Ritter's record at home as opposed to on the road. I know the Falcons are a different team on the road, but come on, man. There's nothing you could tell me, given how bad the 1-12 fucking Carolina Panthers are, that makes me think that this line isn't off by like a point or two. But I value Vegas's models and algorithms more than I value my brain. So as easy and free as the Falcons look, I just can't fucking do it, man. I can't do it. But you know what it does remind me of? It reminds me of when the Patriots were at the Jets, and the Jets were +3, and the Patriots fucking won by 5 because Zach Wilson took a safety. I don't know if you guys remember that game.
I could see. How did I forget?
I don't know. Yeah, I remember the losses more than I remember the wins. I could see the Falcons covering like that, and I can see this being another don't overthink it under. The Falcons are an under team. The Panthers are a really good under team. Steak, you doing it or no?
I don't know. I'll say this. The line is weird. I don't care how Desmond Ritter's looked on the road. The Panthers are horrible. They're absolutely horrible. They're so horrible to watch. They don't cover spreads. They don't win games. I don't care who they're playing. So the line is so weird. It is the rat line of the week, like you said. I haven't made a decision yet because it's going to be so painful to put money on Bryce Young and watch him go out there and look incompetent again. So I haven't decided if I'm going to do that to myself. But I mean, you got to kind of like it, right?
Championship rematch. By the way, that was, I think, when Cincinnati and Alabama
semifinal.
Yeah, semifinal. Do you guys remember this? Not to pat myself on the back, but again, I'll never forget some legacy days. I had Desmond Ridder to win the Heisman, and I watched him like 3 or 4 times, and I knew how bad he was and how bad Cincinnati was in college, at least. I took 10 props, and they were all unders. Cincinnati under first half, first quarter, passing yards under, team total under, everything you can imagine, and they all hit. I still have the screenshot. I don't know if you guys remember that. Under season. Repeat, perhaps. Maybe we'll run it back. Greg, are you getting involved?
I am not. This fits your system, though. This fits your trend
to
the Falcons' favor.
They did not cover at home against a divisional opponent. Glad you brought that up. Yes.
Yeah, so it does fit that. So I don't want to fade that aspect. The other thing, at the end of the year, I will give myself a tremendous pat on the back, and I'm happy just walking away in the sunshine. But for the Panthers this year, I've bet them 3 times. They covered 2 and pushed the other. Like, ridiculous for a team that's 2-10 against the spread. And I am thrilled to be able to walk out on top of that bad of a team that typically I would get duped into frequently. And so to me, this is probably the ugliest game on the board. I do have some Falcons futures, full transparency. I think this is one where somehow the Falcons win and don't cover in that weird Falcons way, where they win on a Young Wuku field goal to win by 2 or something like that. But I really have zero desire to get invested on the Panthers, and that would be the only side I'd look at here.
Now that I think about it, we had the Panthers against the Texans, and then we had the Panthers against the Bucs. So we did hit them twice. Dude.
Wow. Yeah, and then I got them the Saints when they pushed on that back door. So
those are probably the only times they've covered or pushed. I think they've lost.
That's what I mean. That's the only time we bet them. They've covered.
So are you saying we're Panther whisperers?
I think so, man. I think so, but we just don't whisper to them much. We never whisper to them.
You don't want to whisper into a Panther too much. That's what I always say. Honestly, the more I think about it, I think we're the fucking hottest cappers on Twitter now that you mention it. I don't care if you have a 70% hit record. If you're not betting on the Panthers the only 2 times they cover, you're not shit in my book. That's what I always say. Hold on.
Good resume builder.
Panthers bettors all season. Panthers are one of my best bets. Oh, my God. Good luck, man. Good luck.
Why.
The weather in Carolina this weekend is going to be nasty. Yeah, the weather's going to be really bad a lot of places. All over Florida, there's a big storm that's hitting. It actually delayed. I was going to drive down to Florida this weekend, Saturday and Sunday, but there's a big storm hitting. So now I'm pushing it back to Tuesday. All right. I don't know why I just shared that information. Let's keep moving. Saints and Giants. Here's my best bet. I don't know. I'm not going to be really upset if this doesn't work out, because there's enough writing on the wall to not want to trust Dennis Allen and Derek Carr laying 5.5, or 6 points at home. But at the end of the day, I just have to do it. I have to do it. The spread to me is so telling. It's the same amount of points they've laid against the Carolina Panthers. We just talked about how bad they are against the Giants, who are the talk of the town, offensive player of the week. Tommy DeVito won 3 straight. I think that's a lot of respect for the Saints. It's a lot of disrespect for the Giants. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong here. But I think what I wrote about in the newsletter for my best bet, something to point out, is looking at the teams that the Giants beat, and in the fashion they did it. The Commanders, when the Commanders turned the ball over 4 times, they didn't really have to do much offensively. The Patriots, they won 10-7, but that was the Mac Jones getting benched. He threw 2 awful interceptions. And in mid-major, we played the Patriots. It was alpha buy, and you showed me something that was very interesting. It was like expected outcome, like without the turnovers or something, or expected points. I don't know if you remember that, but you should share it if you do. The Patriots are expected to win that game by like an insane margin. But anyways, I'm not one of those guys that hangs too much stock into that. But they only had to get 10 first downs. They didn't even have 200 yards of offense. And then the Packers. The Packers are not that good, and their defense is really bad. And I also think they had they fumbled, they threw a really bad interception midfield, and they muffed a punt. So again, all these things that are playing into the Giants' favor, a lot of turnover luck, and I'm not really taking away much from the Giants, because it is fun to watch. And if you're a fan, like, you should enjoy these moments. And not being a big Danny Dimes believer, I am enjoying this. The expected score in that game was Patriots 20.3, Giants 3.2. Isn't that incredible? But I think the Saints, they're not a good team, but I do think they're a bit more of a balanced team. So we know Carr's not great in the red zone, but I don't think they're going to be that team that really hands the Giants all these opportunities, especially at home, especially squared when they're fighting for a division. They're fighting for the division. I think they're going to cover this game. Somebody mentioned it. Player prop locks. Giants lowest scoring team. Yes. 37 down to 30, up to 39.5 though has me a little concerned. That makes me like the favorite a little bit more, but I don't think DeVito and the Giants offense is going to have much success. Steak, what do you think about that?
I mean, you nailed it. I don't want to go repeating you too much, but I'll just say that I fully agree. And Saints are a team that Vegas respects a lot this year. I feel like they've gotten a lot of respect from Vegas all year. But like you said, this line's a lot of respect when the Giants were the same kind of underdogs on Monday and they won outright against the Packers, who going into that game are playing significantly better football than the Saints. The line's a lot of respect. I'm going to go with it. I hope it's not a duping, but I really, really do like the Saints in fairly dominant fashion.
Greg?
Yeah, no play for me in this one. I 100% get where you guys are coming from. There's no way I would take this one out of the newsletter or try and stop you. I get a little bit of a hard on for these fun stories like the Dobbs story. And now, Dobbs is dead and DeVito's alive. The other reason too, is I don't want to get behind Derek Carr and Dennis Allen. I just don't. And I don't like to see him as big favorites back-to-back weeks. So I'm fine sitting this one out. If I had a play, it would absolutely be Saints. I don't hate for you guys that like to do this of like a money line parlay. For sure, throw them in there. But I wouldn't be surprised if the Giants pulled something quirky and actually covered. But again, for me, this is, obviously Saints are nothing, but I'm not playing this one.
I want to be very clear, and I said this in the newsletter. He's not a good coach, and I went from making the Saints a 3-unit investment in the offseason to saying fuck that, not betting on them at all because I don't respect Dennis Allen. Player prop locks. G-Men's first road game in a month, essentially. Good point. Also, pandemic. Matt, yes, the Saints-Panthers game should have been a lot closer. I believe I heard that the Panthers didn't punt in the last 3 quarters of the game. Isn't that fucking crazy?
Wait. They scored 6 points.
They also had a run to the 1-yard line, Miles Sanders did, that I want to say that somehow the Panthers turned into a missed field goal from like the 20-something yard line or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, they're fucking incredible. They really are.
They're incredibly embarrassing. It is what it is. I was concerned that I did maybe just want to like tease the Giants with something and maybe somehow make that my best bet, but I just said, fuck it. If they win by 4, I'm going to be upset, but it is what it is. Greg, did you have one more thing about this? Is that DeVito's agent?
Pardon my take. Yeah.
I mean, how do we, it's just
you've hit the high water mark. You've hit it.
How does his stock get any higher? Yeah, you got to fade.
I really want to fade the Giants play the Eagles next week, and that's where I want to fade them. So that's another reason why I'm kind of staying off here.
Okay. With a bad run D and Allen and Carr. I mean, not necessarily. I get where you're coming from, pandemic. I got to do it. I do think Barkley could have a nice day. All right, Packers against my Bucks. Packers are 3.5, 42 up to 42.5. This is in the newsletter for us. I like the Packers. I think this is a really tough spot for the Bucs. Greg, you pointed that out. And actually, we'll start with that. Greg, why don't you tell us why we are on the Packers?
Yeah, so I said this earlier in the week, but 2 map plays this week. So the Lions were the first. This is the second. And this is just an absurd scheduling spot for the Bucs. So not only are they coming off of back-to-back divisional games, Panthers, who they won, didn't cover, Falcons, who they won and covered. But in the last 8 weeks, this is the Bucs' 6th road game. That's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
So they played 2 on the road. They got 1 at home, 2 on the road, 1 at home. Now, they just played the Falcons on the road in a big divisional win, and now they got to go to Lambeau Field. Their defense is banged up. It's battered and bruised. Lambeau Field in December is not where you get right and get healthy. I think this is the Packers. I think the Packers truly, and again, a missed angle, and this was a tough one to spot, but rewinding a little bit, if you go to that Chiefs-Packers game, Jordan Love at the end of it is his post-game presser. I totally forgot his first game in the NFL when he looked like a complete asshole was against the Chiefs. And so this was one he said like, oh, this game for me, Jordan Love against the Chiefs was one I had circled on my calendar because this was one, remember, I think Rodgers had a concussion or something. This is one where I came out. It was my debut. Everybody said I suck. Everybody said I'm not going to be anything. So it was a weird game that you wouldn't have expected them to have circled or him personally to have circled. And then textbook massive letdown against the Giants. This team's incredibly young on offense. And I think that, hindsight's always 20/20, but Obviously, that was going to be a letdown after such a big win. It was going to get to their heads a little bit. They were going to feel a little better than they should. Aaron Jones should, I mean, you say it every fucking Friday and then he doesn't play. Aaron Jones should be back for this finally. And if he is, I think he has a really good game against his beaten up Bucks D. And if not, I still think AJ Dillon's there. And
he's got a broken thumb.
Who does?
AJ Dillon.
AJ Dillon? Who gives a fuck about a thumb? I guess if you're a running back, that's pretty important. But anyway, I also think
let's keep moving.
Yeah, these lines are a little bit of a duping too when you get that extra half. I really love that half's there for Green Bay. I bought it to -3. I think my juice was 125, and it'll be 1 unit. I'll probably put another unit as it gets closer to kickoff. Love the Packers.
Steak, you agree?
No.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I don't really. I don't. I kind of think it's too easy for a lot of the reasons Greg just said. Like, I think a lot of people don't think that a banged up Tampa Bay defense can go to Lambeau in December and be competitive. And I don't know, man. I just am not. And maybe I'm doing this for you, and I can end up being. I think the Bucks are the toughest team in the NFC South. I think they're tough, and I don't really want to bet against them. I think they could win this division. I know I just said I thought the Saints were going to win in dominating fashion, but they're nothing but disappointing this year. Let's be honest. And the Falcons are just blah. I kind of like the Bucks, man. I got to be honest with you. I certainly lean Bucks. I don't have any bets placed yet. I'm not sure I want to fade Greg or you. I don't know if you're taking the Packers. I didn't catch if you said you were going to play it, or are you?
I am. Yeah,
you're going to play it. So yeah, I don't know. I might just sit back and watch. But sadly, my gut is telling me Bucks here.
I respect it. I do think at the end of the day, you're going to find a lot more people on the Packers than you expect. I agree with Greg. Like the 3.5, the hook is always a little bit trendy, but I don't know who's going to be excited to take the Bucks with the hook in December in Lambeau and with all the injuries. So I do think we'll be on an island. What?
Staley fired.
Hey!
Why would they fire him?
Why what?
Why would they fire him?
Oh. I was like, wait, what? Yeah, and by the way, I didn't mean to cut Greg off. Greg was cooking very well, but I realized we have 5 more games.
That was one I'm really fired up about. So
yeah, well,
it gives me a little bit of pause. Maybe I'll just be 1 unit.
No, Steak's right. Steak's absolutely right, and that's why I always like to not always align and agree with each other, because it's nice to hear counter arguments. The one thing I will say is like there's those contrarian, like you're on an island plays that don't cash, and you're like, oh God, you feel like an asshole. The one I could see it being is the Packers and or the Bucks not coming through. And the reason being, we mentioned the scheduling spot, 6 road games in 8 weeks is tough, but also they just beat divisional opponents back-to-back weeks. You just beat the Panthers. You just beat the Falcons. I don't know, man. Like this is kind of due for a letdown. Overachieving Tampa team who nobody had to win the division, who are now tied for first. 1 more game till they hit their win total. I just could kind of see this being the like, fuck, I wish I didn't do that type of play. However, at the same time, I totally get the reasoning for it, and I don't disagree at all. Did you want to say one more thing? I feel like I see you.
I will say if this game was in Tampa, this is one where home field weighs heavy for me. If this was in Tampa, this would not be a play for me.
Oh, for sure.
Because I think the Packers struggle in that atmosphere, but I think likewise you're going to see a team from Tampa struggle in Green Bay. And I also think you're getting the Packers a little low off of a Monday night primetime loss to a shitty Giants team.
The one thing though, you're right. The Bucks are a tough team, and the Packers are not. The Packers are soft as baby shit. So that's a bad matchup right there. Okay. Next, what are we into the 4:00 games? Rams and Commanders. Steak, you and I disagree here, or maybe just don't agree as much. I think the Rams look so easy. 7 down to 6.5. I think this is everybody's going to be on Survivor. Everybody's going to be having their teaser. Everybody's going to have their money line parlay. Are the Rams, after they've looked so good through this stretch, even though they lost to the Ravens, nobody gave them a chance. We didn't either. We had the Ravens -7.5. They came out in that game. And you know what I fucking love that they did in this game? I don't know if you guys caught this. The first 10 plays of the game, they ran the ball. Sean McVay just said, we're going to fucking run. And they did. And they had success doing it. It was unbelievable. Stafford was throwing dimes. Puka was making catches. But the Ravens win in miraculous fashion. I think that that's a little bit of a deflating loss for the Rams because nobody was giving them a chance. They flew cross country. They played in the rain. They played outside, and they were there to prove a point. Now they come back home. They play the Commanders off of a bye, who I know everybody's written off. They're a dead team. They're 4-9. I don't know. I could just kind of see the Commanders being pesky here. I'm not saying they're going to win, but I think I have to play the Commanders with the points. Steak, you disagree?
No, I'm coming off it a little bit. I can guarantee you one thing. I'm not playing the Rams, so it's not like I'm just going to completely go opposite of you. When I first saw the line, I kind of just thought it was correct at 7. Fair. You know, the Rams are 7 points better at home than the Commanders. I thought that spread was perfectly respectable to both sides, an accurate spread in my mind. The move to 6.5, I think is interesting and sort of makes me lean your side a little more.
Yeah.
The Commanders have not been competitive after being really competitive for the first 11 games of the season. In the last 3 or 4, they haven't been at all. Mm-hmm. And like you said, the Rams outplayed the Ravens, right? We all agree on that.
Yeah,
they did. And so I guess you could say I'm starting to see your side a little more. But I do think that I don't know how much bigger you could make this spread. I don't think the Rams can really be 9.5 or 8.5 point favorites over the Commanders.
Okay, Greg, agree or disagree?
We got 2 teams coming up. The Commanders and the Cardinals, both coming off a bye. They are 2 of the worst teams off of a bye, straight up and against the spread. That gives me a little bit of pause versus the Commanders. However, how I'm going to play this game, if I play this game, is going to be looking for a live line because I have 2 reasons. McVay has a tendency to let teams back into it, and I see that back door as being wide open. And the Rams play next Thursday night. So I could see them resting guys a little bit prematurely and opening that back door even more. So if the Rams get up 10-14, I might jump in and get the Commanders live. If they don't, and I miss it, I'm happy to let this one go by the wayside. But that's sort of how I'll play this one, is keep an eye to it. If I see that as a good, Commanders plus 10.5, Commanders plus 13.5, I'll probably jump in live, but not going to take it straight up.
I think that's fair. Also, one thing about the total, it's up from 48.5 to 50.5. That's a really high total this year. And when we've seen a lot of unders, the only thing I will say is Rams totals have been sharp all year and they haven't been hitting, but Commanders totals soar because they can put up points and their defense sucks. I think this is the total, the over that's too sharp, and the under nobody sees coming, personally. And that makes me like the dog even more. Also, by the way, I just looked at Twitch. I apologize that I've neglected this. No believing with the new follow. What's up? K-Sav with a sub bang, a gifted sub bang. Appreciate you, K-Sav. Alex with a sub bang, and Ref with a raid. Party of 18. Appreciate you guys. All right. Brink said McVay. Oh, sorry. Let's just see what Brink said. McVay is going to want to stick it to this team. Oh, he used to coach on Washington. That's right. Go ahead, Steak. You raised your hand.
I want to make one request because I think I got to leave and go to the airport. Can we talk about Ravens Jags first so we can talk about our showdown, and then you and Greg hit the last 2? Is that acceptable?
Yes, but real quick, and I didn't realize the time, and you do have to leave. Can we just touch on Bills Cowboys for a second before you leave? And Greg, you and I can go into it in depth a little bit more because I want to spend some time on it. Steak, are you on the Cowboys or the Bills in this game?
Bills.
Okay. We'll get to that in a second. Let's fast forward. Let's jump ahead to the Jags and the Ravens. The Ravens, I think they're 3.5. Maybe they're down to 3 right now. I don't know what the current line is. Total 44 down to 42.5. It's supposed to be rainy. It's supposed to be windy. It's going to be nasty. I'm fucking squaring up with the Ravens. Steak is staying true to form and with his stupid smirk on his face, going contrarian with the Jags at home. But this is what I think. And we are going against each other. And typically when this happens, we don't always agree. We're not yes men. We go our separate ways plenty of times. But it's very rare that we will actually go head to head. Sometimes one of us will just be like, all right, you know what? I'll stay off. Or, maybe something else will happen. But we're going to do it. We're going to go head to head. I'm taking the fucking Ravens. You're taking the Jags. And I acknowledge when I sit at the squares table, I know the Ravens are square, but I think this is where a lot of sharps, smart people and contrarians will be on the Jags, and I think it's where they get burned because the Jags have been, granted they've dropped the game at against the Bengals at home. Trevor Lawrence got hurt, and they just lost on the road in Cleveland. I can't believe Trevor Lawrence even played. But they've been very good before that, ATS and record-wise. I guess not so much at home. They're 2-4 at home and 2-4 ATS. But just overall, in the last 10 games, 7-3, 7-3 ATS. The Ravens just came off of a game where everybody had them. They were shitting their pants in Survivors, shitting their pants with a teaser, and lost as a spread. I don't think anybody's going to want to lay 3.5. I'm sorry. People are going to probably go money line. But I think that you're going to get duped taking the hook with the home team here. I think the Ravens are going to go, and I think the defense bounces back after getting sliced up at McVay. I think there was a little rust there after the bye week, and now I think they bring it. They come to play in Jacksonville. Why do you disagree?
Well, I think it's textbook contrarian, which is obvious, and obviously the Jags just had a Monday night game. Bengals first primetime game in Jacksonville that mattered in a while, and they were all excited, and they got let down. And now I don't think there's the same level of excitement and confidence in Jacksonville 2 games later after you lose to the Bengals and Jake Browning, and then you get your shit pushed in by Joe Flacco. There's a different aura around Jacksonville now. I'm seeing like Twitter articles, is Trevor Lawrence a bust? And I actually think the defense that gets right in this game is Jacksonville. Because they look really bad. They got torched by David Njoku. They made him look like Travis Kelce. They got torched by Jake Browning. They made him look like John Elway. And I actually think the defense that shows up this week in a nasty game, because when you think rainy and nasty and gross, you certainly think Baltimore Ravens more than you think of Jacksonville Jaguars. And I'm just not finding any side that makes me think it's a duping. I think it's a really good contrarian, sharp spot that I really, really love. I love the Jags.
Okay, fair enough. And before you leave, somebody did ask Colby versus Leon real quick.
God damn, I like Colby, and I'm wondering if that's a duping. I thought I was kind of going to be like a little bit alone on liking Colby, and now I just see everyone's on him, and I haven't seen. He said no, so I'm getting duped. Oh, it is. Oh, god damn, dude.
No, what?
He's saying it is Colby.
It is Colby.
Colby lets you down in big fights. I'll say that much. But I got to go Colby. If I change my mind, I'll let you know. But as of right now, I'm going Colby Covington to win.
Okay. No, it's not Colby.
Is it Saturday?
Fat Girls is being very confusing.
Yeah, you're confusing the fuck out of us, fat girls. Will you fucking be clear?
It's very clear. It's not Colby.
Let's get this going in the Discord.
All right. Steak, check the money and bet splits. Fuck Colby. He's a marketer about dudes. Dad. Oh, he said something about the guy's dad. Got you. All right, Steak. Appreciate it, man. Thanks for hanging out. Go take care of your business and be in the Discord later for UFC.
See you guys.
All right, see you, man.
See you, buddy.
Okay, Greg. Let's circle back and then we'll.
Just to be clear, I have nothing on that Jags game. I see both your sides on it. I might convince myself to bet a total, but I've been so goddamn bad at totals. I think I'm just going to stay away on that one.
Okay. We'll come back to it. Let's talk Niners and Cardinals. Well, it's funny. Steak's the reason that we have this over in our newsletter, and he just hopped off. But I think he made a decent point about 46.5. Oh, wow. Its cover says 48.5 now. I think it was 47.5.
It was 47 this morning.
So 47.5. Yeah, you never know. Covers could be wrong. But anyways, it's a high total. He made a good point. The Niners have only gone over this, I think, once in their last 5 games. The Cardinals twice in their last 5 games. I like the dog here, but I was really surprised to see how much money hit Arizona, and I'm way past the number, but it was 14 down to like 11.5. I couldn't tell you why. I don't know if there's a player that means that much of the spread that was hurt that might be playing, maybe McBride. I have no fucking idea, to be honest with you. But I just kind of feel like, even though this is a divisional game for the Niners, it's a game where they've had this stretch where they played at Seattle, which is a big game. You take the Seahawks way more seriously than you take the Cardinals. At Philadelphia, they took care of business, Super Bowl revenge. You come back, you handle your business with another divisional opponent, Seattle Seahawks, and then you got this weird game against Arizona, in Arizona on the road, before you play the Ravens at home. That's a big game, even though it's out of conference. It doesn't have that much big playoff implications, or maybe it does because they're still fighting for the 1 seed. I just kind of oddly feel like, and I don't think about look-ahead spots too much in the NFL, way more in college. I could just kind of see this being one where the Niners aren't super sharp, and I kind of think that the Cardinals have a little. They're not trying to win necessarily, but they're trying to at least show that, like, hey, we deserve a little respect. Like, that's kind of how Jonathan Gannon's
they're
had
spunky.
this team.
Yeah, they're spunky.
Yeah. Yeah, so I don't know, man. I like the dog, and if we like the total, I think that means the Cardinals score. You agree?
So this is that divisional road game who didn't cover last week. It fits your trend, but to the 49ers' favor. So that would be my only bit of pause. To me, I like that Steak likes this over because it wasn't one that jumped out at me. If anything, I'm a pretty meat and potatoes guy. I look at a divisional game and I automatically assume under. But like I said, I am dog shit at totals this year. So I like that Steak. He hasn't spoken up on a total in a while, and I like that this one really stuck out to him and he wanted to go with it. I do think the Niners are able to move the ball. I do think the Cardinals are able to move the ball. This is a really high total in 2023, especially just what we've seen. We've seen so many fucking games in the 30s. So this is one I'm not going to pick a side. I do like the case for the Cardinals for exactly what you said. San Francisco playing Baltimore next week. All they got to do here, all they're trying to do is win down the stretch, right? They know they got a big one down the road. They need that first round bye. If they get that first round bye, I'd love them to win the NFC. And I think Shanahan knows that they need that bye to kind of reassess, reevaluate too. So I don't see them in any way, shape, or form losing this. But I do see them maybe, again, one where that back door's open.
Yeah, maybe that's how it's played then. It could be a high-scoring game, like a fucking...
And if the back door's open, I'd rather have the over. I'd rather
35-24, something like that. Yeah, I agree with you. Okay, let's move. Let's talk about the last game on the slate. I think it's the most intriguing game, maybe of the season. Cowboys-Bills. Bills open, I think 1.5. They got up to 2.5. It looks like they might be back down to 2. There's, everybody's saying it about the Bills. If you like the Bills to win, take them to win the division, take them to win the Super Bowl. There's so much good value, blah, 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 blah. And then on the flip side, the Cowboys have looked incredible these past few weeks. Dak is now the favorite to win the MVP, and I think deservedly so. He's looked phenomenal. But the thing about the Cowboys is they look so good at home. And on top of that, they've just played overall one of the easiest schedules in the NFL. On the road, they're a different team. They got embarrassed by the 49ers. They lost as double-digit favorites against the Cardinals. Who else am I thinking about that they lost to the Eagles. Granted, they came back in that game and they made it a game. I think they were down like 28-13 at one point. But it's going to be a big game for them. I mean, Sunday's going to be outdoors. Buffalo's going to be rocking. The weather's going to suck. It's going to be a really, really big game for them. Like, I think this is one of the biggest regular season games for Dak Prescott and for this Cowboys team. Now, at the end of the day, they still get into the playoffs. This could be irrelevant. They could go on a run. They can win the Super Bowl. Who gives a fuck? But you really got to fucking prove it to me if you're Dak. You really have to prove it to me. And when you just won a divisional game at home, but you win games at home. You own the Eagles. Go out outdoors, an environment you're not familiar with, beat a team like the Bills who's riding a little bit of momentum. Now, the thing that helps them out tremendously is Micah Hyde, I think, is going to be hurt or is going to be out. He's safety. Missing. So that helps. And then the next week they go and play the Dolphins, and they might be without Tyreek Hill. You never know. So the Cowboys could be huge beneficiaries here of the injury bug. But we'll see what happens. The total's up to 50.5. I'm probably going to play the Bills, but also at the same time, I have no problem just sitting on the sideline as a football fan and enjoying this game. So what do you think?
I don't blame you. I am on the Bills for a unit. This one could be the fake sharp one, but I like the spot for the Bills. This season for them has been a game where every loss, just something's broken. It didn't go their favor. And I think that really starts to wear you down when you get to week 10, 11, 12. They just got a fucking shot of adrenaline in that Tony offsides because, again, up late, should win, ridiculous play, touchdown, game over. Fucking, we're 6-7, season's probably over. And then you get that kind of wonky offsides. I know it's controversial. Who's fucking offsides? I don't know what's controversial about that. But I think that from a morale standpoint is such a deep breath of fresh air for Buffalo that I don't want to fade them in any way, shape, or form. And I do think that somebody asked if we took them to make the playoffs at plus 340. I'll give you one better. I took them to make the playoffs at like minus 120 to start the season. So how about that?
WTLV.
I didn't want to double down, but I do have them, their win total. And I think I took them to win the division. Actually, I shouldn't say I took them to make the playoffs. I think I took them to win the division, but I also see the Cowboys is that Eagles game that's a big one, man. That's one of the biggest rivalries in the NFL, and you just beat the fuck out of them, and that had to feel so good. And I think they let it get to their heads a little bit, and going to a place like Buffalo is tough. I mean, you look at their last 5 games, they've rolled, but they haven't played anyone. It was the Giants, it was the Panthers, it was the Commanders, it was the Seahawks, it was the Eagles, and the Eagles are banged up, and their secondary is pretty bad. So granted, they have that run of 5 games where they've just been, murdering teams. I think it kind of comes to a start and they come back to reality a little bit in these 2 weeks at Buffalo and at Miami on deck. So for me, this is absolutely worth a unit for the Bills.
I'm not trying to downplay the Eagles' issues because they clearly do have issues, but that is just a really bad spot for them, and Dallas could not have been any more prime for an ass kicking there. The one thing I will say about this game it's giving me vibes of is the games that I've been nervous about the last 2 weeks, where the Niners at the Eagles and then the Cowboys against the Eagles. It felt like all the smart guys and sharps were on them, and it's like, ooh, it's kind of spooked me off a little bit. It feels like everybody's on the Bills, but you know what? I'm not going to overthink, and I think I might play the Bills, but at the end of the day, I'm also okay just sitting on the sideline and enjoying the game.
No, all right, man. As a Bills investor, I mean, this to me, if they lose this, I lose my bet on their season win total too, and it's not scaring me off it for another unit. May come to regret it, but you got to take these spots, and we've said it for years, and it's tougher now when you're on Twitter and you have more sharp guys out there. But truly, the wrong team's favored here. You got a 7-6 team favored against a 10-3 team who's just put up fucking 30 or 40 points 5 weeks in a row. The Micah Hyde injury is quite concerning, but I do think this is one where the Bills they're going to be a tough team. Although I love fading the Bills next week, especially if they win here, because they play a fired Staley Chargers team.
Oh God,
right?
I mean, hey, you've been the Staley whisperer, so it's up to you.
He's gone. What do you mean?
I know. Yeah. But I mean, now that the ding dong, the witch is dead, if you want to bet on his team, that's fine. I'm going to do whatever you say.
Yeah, we'll see what the line looks like. It's going to be heavy to Bills' favor.
Much different team. Yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too. The Cowboys' hype is at an all-time high. So I'm fine to sell it.
The Bills are 5-1 at home, 3-3 ATS, but it's basically, it's 1.5 point game, so you need them to win.
Lay the money line. Don't get cute. Lay the money line. Whoa, that's actually something I wanted to bring up. This is weird. On FanDuel, the line has gone from 2.5 to 1.5. And again, Coastal KC, call me out. I could be wrong here. The line has gone from 2.5 to 1.5, but the money line's gone up on Buffalo. So they've made it a tighter margin, but the money line went from 125 to 135.
I don't know.
Weird, huh?
Yeah. Huh. That's interesting. Okay, good observation though. I always like to notice when teams are like 3 or less, like what the money line price is, because sometimes it always feels like if it's like a soft like 125, but then sometimes there's like 142. And it's like, I could have sworn I just saw a team with the same spread, but they were 125, and now this team's 140. It's like, why are they a little bit more expensive to win? All right, guys.
Yeah, you will see that. You will see like not all twos equal a minus 130 money line. Yep. Like you'll see multiple minus twos, but different money lines. I think that's what you see here. And it's probably because when the line got up to that 2.5, a bunch of people probably hammered the Cowboys on a teaser. Now that I think about it.
Okay, that's it for our NFL. I'll do a quick recap for you guys. If you're not, subscribe to the newsletter, thedegenerateweekly.com. Get your ass on there. You can subscribe for free. Send it out every Friday.
Hey, good job on the Blues last night. Thank you.
You're very welcome. The fired coach system now, if anybody's been following that, is 3-0 on this NHL season. I know I'm going to talk ice real quick, but Greg, you can hop off.
I'm going to roll bounce. Yep. Thank you, man.
All right, see you, man.
Weekend, guys.
Yep. Thank you, Greg. Greg. We'll talk ice a little bit. I am going to be boots on ground tonight at Madison Square Garden for the Rangers-Ducks game. And I don't care how fucking square it might be. I'm going to be on the Rangers. I think the Rangers are going to beat the fuck out of the Ducks. And you know what? I might fucking bet on the Ducks to get shut out. What's the opposite of a quack? Thank you, Discord. Every time you share the Discord, we get a couple people in there. So good job. Thank you, Snizey. 6.5. Rangers are minus 315. Yeah, I bet, ladies. Yeah. Quack, huh? Yeah. Quack it up. Quack it up. Quack it up. There we go. That a boy. Yeah. That's right. Talk that shit. Have fun with that. You're getting shut out tonight. Keep it up. I know what you're doing. Yeah. Keep it going. Keep it going. I'm like Billy Madison, the fucking shoot, boom, shoot, boom. Going hunting in the garden tonight. That's right, motherfucker. Ducks. The ducks are going down. You know, you ever seen fucking duck hunt? Bruins report. Read it. Have the Rangers. I'm going to be boots on ground for the UMass Lowell Central game. You got any plays for me? Oh, God, Jesus Christ. I don't know about that. Rangers due for a statement game. Will it be for the Ducks or the Bees? Ducks. Have the Rangers one of the games you've attended this year at MSG? Yeah. What game did I go see? What fucking game did I go see? Yeah, they won. They look great. Hurricanes. I had exact score. 2-1. Rangers 2-1 against Canes. Come on, bro. Every player on the race should get a hit, right? Right. Yeah. Yo. What's blapping? Class now, Canes. Blap, blap. I'm trying to find a trend. Yep. Canes, wasn't it? Nice job. Look at that. McKiffin's the only motherfucker here that's got no hate in his heart. All y'all motherfuckers got a little hate in your heart. All of you. Oh, DJ's going to be in the game. Oh, the Rangers are law free, right? Yet the fucking correct score was in the bag, baby. Suck my ass. But I will admit, last year I went to a game when they played the Senators, and the Senators won it overtime, and I was halfway down the stairs without my wife. I said I'm fucking leaving. They gave a goal with like 20 seconds left. I said, I'm leaving. I'm not even watching overtime. They're going to lose. She's like, you're not fucking leaving. Stay here and watch overtime. I said, I'm fucking leaving. Brady Tkachuk scored, and I started walking. I said, you better come. You better come. I'm leaving. I'm beating the crowd. Sure, that was such a good party voice. That's my snidesy voice. Hey, Easton Stick respect coin, motherfucker. He went over his passing yards. POD. Let's talk about ice real quick, and then I'll get you guys over to behind the lines. Yeah, the Duck shutout. Duck shutout. Nice. I wish I could fucking go tomorrow. You beat the crowd type of guy. Yeah, I am. Let me tell you something. I went to a fucking Bills-Ravens game with Greg and our buddy Mark. We didn't beat the crowd. Come on, man. Why are we going to beat the crowd? Fine. You know what happened? We drove. We tailgated. I drove home. These cocksuckers got to sleep. Greg passed out in the back seat. Mark passed out in the front seat. You know what I did? I sat there in the goddamn driver's seat in traffic for 2.5 hours because we didn't beat the crowd. 2.5 hours. You know how long a football game is? Like 3 hours. Is it worth it to miss a few minutes to the end of the game to beat 2.5 hour traffic? The answer is yes. If Easton didn't go over his passing yards, the script. Yep. All right. No way it's the Islanders again, right? No way it's the Islanders again. God, I feel like I got a knot in my back right now. Oh, I can't believe I got to move out of this office all by myself. Fucking Greg. Goddamn baby. Fucking guy having kids and shit, you know? Over. Smashville tonight. My longest wait after a game was 4 hours after the Vince Young Ohio State game. Wow. Oh my God, that's insane. Is eating dick still the QB for the Chargers, or is he fired too? I don't know, actually. Smashville tonight. I don't know. I feel like I hear everybody on the Preds tonight. Kay, you like the over? Here we go. Frill Nugget. Linus 3-3-3-2 last 5. First time joining the Bees. Since joining the Bees, has 3+3 games in a row, 4 over Isles, including last season, 2 Isles last day. Oh my God, this is a lot. Team told 2.5 to the under this morning on DK was shocked, not plus money. Even if Bees lose, could see similar score. All right, I'm done. I'm sold. I'm sold. The Islanders can't keep getting away with it, man. You know who's gonna love this? I'm calling BK right now. Calling BK right now. Hold on. Say, yo, He's probably working. Hold on. Let's call Brian Kirshner. Brian Kirshner is Brian Kirshner. Alex, I appreciate your sub bang, man. Brian K is Kirshner's Islanders fan. Hey, Brian, you're on the stream. All right, do you have a second?
I'm live with the boys.
You're live with the boys right now. We're wrapping up. We're talking puck, and we're on the Bruins Islanders game. Are you going?
I am not. I honestly I'm in the Tampa airport right now.
Oh, that's right.
I had Culver's. It was amazing, dude. Culver's.
Oh, yeah, Culver's is not bad. Yeah, it's nice. It's also a nice establishment too. It's really well ran.
Yeah, no, I get into New York at like 5:10. I was trying to see if I could make it, but I don't think I can.
Oh, you already did your Tampa trip. You're on your way back.
It was just a one-day trip.
Oh my God, that's insane. All right, I thought you asked me about Tampa because you were going. All right, anyways, we got to get down to business, and then I got to wrap it up here. The Islanders can't keep getting away with it, right?
I mean, they're probably Stanley Cup bound. Like, I don't think anything they're doing is fluky. This is a team built for the playoffs. This is a team built to beat great hockey teams. Bruins are a little bit banged up right now. I mean, the line is short.
Yeah, it
Isles
is.
are home. It's going to be popping. The Heineken Lounge, they're going to be, they're going to be drinking. They're going to be smoking. Everyone's going to be hyped up for this game. Honestly, I think the Isles can keep it going. It will be close. I like the under. I know it's low, but I think the Isles have a very good chance to win this game.
Are you going to bet on them?
No, probably not.
Okay.
But they have been due for a loss for a long time. So
yeah.
I do understand the Bruins side of it. Like I can't hate on Bruins bet, to be honest.
I think I like going by off of, well, we got one guy in the chat who likes the over. We got another guy who likes the Bruins goalie to play well, judging by the numbers. I'm going to go Islanders team total under 2.5.
I don't like that.
Why?
I hate that, actually.
Why?
Because they've been scoring a lot of goals. They put up 4 goals in their past, 6 games or something.
Yeah, they can't keep getting away with it. That's my whole point.
Aren't the Bruins defensemen out?
I don't know.
Isn't that where their injuries are? No, I of all the bets, I legitimately hate Isles team total under. I think that's probably the worst play.
All right, so your least favorite play is the Islanders team total under.
Yes, the Isles will score 3 goals tonight.
All right, I'm making that my POD 5-unit Mega Max.
No, I'm not even pulling your leg. I genuinely hate that bet.
No, I know you do. I know you're not fucking around. That's why I love it.
No, I take you to the Isles game, and all you and Ian want to do is fade the Isles, and you keep losing.
That's not.
The Isles are a team that aren't respected by books, and no one takes them seriously. But that's fine with us.
Because they got guys named Scott Mayfield and fucking.
He's actually on the IR. Actually.
Oh, did he just get hurt?
Yeah, he's hurt. Yeah.
All right, Brian.
Yeah, Isles. I actually like this game to go to OT. I love that. I love this game to go to OT plus 500. That's my play of the game is Isles to OT on this one.
Isles to OT. All right, so 1-1, 1-1 Bruins win 2-1 in OT.
Sure, I'll take that result.
Okay. All right. Thanks for your time. Have a safe flight home.
Have a great weekend.
Bye-bye. POD. Islanders team total under. Somebody talks about you the way this man talks about the Islanders. Well said. Well said. All right. Yeah, I'll tell you right now, both New York home teams are not winning tonight. Rangers, yes. Islanders, no. Rangers, -1.5, -2.5, -3.5, -4.5. -1.5, -2.5, -3.5, -4.5. Ducks shutout. Ducks shutout parlayed with the Islanders shutout. Did you hear what I just said? Did anybody hear what I just said? Ducks shutout parlayed with the Islanders shutout. Yes. Yes. Oh, stupid fucking speaker. I'm just kidding. I wouldn't do that. Fading the Quacks. I'm fading the fuck out of the quacks. Somebody's got to pay for those hotels in Vegas. Yeah, they're going to do it with my $10 parlay. It's so funny. I always keep correcting Krabs on this. Listen, motherfuckers, stop with the Vegas looks like Vegas because of sports books. Bro, Vegas profits like maybe $2 million a month. They profit like $40-50 million a month on fucking penny slots, bro. It's all penny slots. All right, here we go. I'm going to do it right now. See if this shit is in. Goalie pops up. Save as the more. Roll on my doors. It's the only way to live in cars. Oh. Fuck. Wait a minute. What's going on here? They only have. Wait. Goalie props. Shutout. Oh, they only have the Ducks goalie up, and they only have the Ducks goalie up, and they only have the Islanders goalie up. Island won't be up till tonight. Monty never confirms. Got it. Okay, thank you. Canes at home. Yeah, I'm not going to do it. You guys want to play the Preds? Totally fine with me. I'm just not going to do it. Stars, Sens. God damn it. I hope the Stars rip them a new asshole. Coyotes against the Sharks. Sharks have been ripping. Big number for the Coyotes. I play the Coyotes. I got nothing here. I played the Sabres against the Avalanche. They did not come close, so now you know I won't go near them with a 10-foot pole. This would be funny if the Sabres won this game. All right, guys, I'm gassed. It's 2 hours. I got to move out of the office. I got a fucking showing, and then I got to go to Triple Crown at 5 p.m. Woo! Hey, good shit. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate all your fucking contributions, hanging out, sub bangs, all of it. Love doing this. It's been fun. The next time I see you, well, actually, I'll see you Monday from my apartment, and then I'll be making my way down to Orlando. Tuesday, I'm going. I might stream in the morning Tuesday, and then I'll start driving. I'm gonna stop at DC, and then I'm gonna stop at Savannah. 4 hours, 8 hours, and 4 hours. Get home on Thursday. We'll do as much as we can. Best of luck if I don't catch you. Good luck on your bets. Go Rangers, boots on ground. I'll catch you in the Discord, and I'll see you on Twitter later. I'm going to send you guys over to thanks for hanging out, too. I know Book It started early today. You guys are still here. That's awesome. Appreciate that, and I will send you over there now. W Steak, W Greg coming on today, making the time. Bye, office. Bye, whiteboard. I know. Goodbye, office. Goodbye, whiteboard. Goodbye, lover. Goodbye, my friend. Goodbye, guys.